Chapter 81 The 8 Billion Tang Group. Lin Shanshan saw that Tang Kerson's attire was relatively simple, but she could not hide her temperament, so she didn't bother to pay any attention to her. Tang Renshan said, Sister Xan, the company has everyone, so there are no major problems. By the way, did you have fun with the babies today? As she said this, she walked over and took Tang Kerson's hand. Tang Renshan saw that he was a superfluous person, so he said hello to them and went downstairs. Tang Kerson laughed and said, It was quite good. I heard you even encountered a thief. Sister Kerson, you scared him away, didn't you? Lin Shanshan said with a smile. Hearing her words, Tang Kerson knew that Lin Shanshan had talked to Su Yuanhang. Yes, I didn't expect to encounter a pickpocket. If it weren't for the fact that I didn't want to cause trouble, I would have called the police, Tang Kerson explained. The two of them walked downstairs holding hands, while Su Yuanhang had already served the food to the children. Tang Renshin was also helping out. When he saw the two of them coming down the stairs, Su Yuanhang smiled and said, Come and eat. It's better to eat something hot. Although the temperature was relatively high during the day, it dropped at night. It was drizzling outside, but the changeable weather did not make anyone feel bad. The family sat down together, and looking at the sumptuous meal on the table, the children were ravenous and said, Daddy, Mommy, can we eat yet? Of course you can, I'll give you a helping of whatever you want to eat, Su Yuanhang said to the children, sitting next to Xiaobao. We all want to eat, hee hee. Daddy, I want to eat the shrimp. From the few times he has cooked, Su Yuanhang has learned that the tastes of his two daughters are different. Dabao prefers seafood, especially crabs and shrimp. As for Xiaobao, she likes meat. The one thing they have in common is that they are not picky eaters and will eat any vegetable combination. So their nutritional balance is quite even. Su Yuanhang picks some peeled shrimp for Dabao, which are very tasty. Mixed with the rice, she eats them very happily. Tang Kerson also helped her son with his food, and then listened to their praise, Daddy, it's delicious. At this point, Lin Shanshan and Tang Renshin were also very hungry and started eating without any further ado. After trying the other dishes, they all had sparkling eyes. Brother-in-law, this beef brisket is so flavorful, with a hint of acidity, it's very appetizing. This is the first time I've tasted beef brisket that melts in the mouth, and it's even better than the high-end restaurants out there. Lin Shanshan also praised without reservation, Su Yuanhang, I feel that you could open your own restaurant, and it would definitely make money. Su Yuanhang, however, also served Tang Kerson a bowl, and laughed while he did so. If I were to open a restaurant, I would have to stop doing other things. You're right, it's still more important to stay at home with my wife and kids. Lin Shanshan continued to matchmaking. Tang Kerson, however, laughed a little, saying, Shan, you can't keep your mouth shut when there's food to eat. Hey, who am I to let Xan and I take advantage of your good cooking and eat such good food from Su Yuanhang? Lin Shan was still very persuasive, and now I want to live here forever. However, Lin Shan knew that this was impossible. After all, she was only working as Tang Kerson's assistant, and once the work officially started, she would have to find a way to rent a house outside. As for Tang Renshin, he also has his own business. It was only after much hard lobbying with his 3-inch tongue that Lin Shanshan agreed to stay until the end of the National Day holiday and then go back to work. After serving the dishes to the children, Tang Kerson also began to taste the food that Su Yuanhang had cooked today. She started with the rice, which had a hint of sweetness. She then took a sip of the beef brisket soup. The rich meaty flavor combined with the sweet and sour taste of the tomatoes was full of flavor. She felt the fatigue of the day disappear with that sip of soup, and she smiled at Su Yuanhang, saying, Yuanhang, it's delicious. Let's try some of the other dishes. Su Yuanhang also helped Tang Kerson to pick up some shrimp and said, Help yourselves, I made a lot today. Everyone was not shy about helping themselves, and they started chatting while eating. Brother-in-law, I think the new version of the game will be fixed tomorrow, and I'll let you take a look then. Okay, I'll take a look then. Su Yuanhang agreed readily. After all, he was now also a shareholder of Tianqing Studio, and he did his best to help out when needed. Where are the employees staying tonight? Tang Kerson asked Lin Shanshan instead. Lin Shanshan explained, they'll just sleep at the company for one night, and after the company is cleaned up tomorrow, they'll find somewhere else to stay. It's hard for them. Tang Koxan thought, how about this, Shan, you go and book a room for me tonight, one for 2 people, I'm sure it can be booked. Are you sure, Xinjia? Lin Shan was surprised. After all, there are nearly 50 or 60 people in total, and it would cost a lot of money to book a room. Of course. Tang Kuxian didn't want the employees to move to a new environment with so much difficulty, because they wouldn't be able to work with energy if they didn't sleep well or eat well. As the company's vice president, Tang Kuxian felt that she had an obligation to do so. What does it matter if I spend a little money? She can still afford it. Okay, I'll look now, Lin Shanshan said, and picked up her phone to book the room. However, Su Yuanhang stopped her and said, after dinner, I'll go to the company to see my colleagues and take care of their basic needs. Shanshan doesn't need to look, I'll take care of it all. Everyone was surprised. Yuanhang, you've already made all the arrangements? Such a big matter, you must have thought about it in advance. Su Yuanhang laughed and said, that's why you don't need to worry, I'll take care of everything. President Su, it really is you. Lin Shanshan immediately put down her phone and continued to eat her meal with peace of mind. Tang Kurson also smiled knowingly and said, Yuanhang, then I'll go with you later. Okay. Su Yuanhang didn't refuse, then we have to eat quickly, it's getting late. Su Yuanhang then told Lin Shanshan, tell your colleagues to rest at the company for now, we'll sort out the accommodation issue. If they're hungry, tell them to eat first, and we'll reimburse them. Sure thing, boss, I'll let everyone know in the group chat. Lin Shanshan was currently juggling several roles, not only as Tang Kurson's assistant, but also as the company's assistant. I'll be at home then. Tang Renxin explained, I still have to work later, I'll try to get the new version of the game out tonight. After discussing among themselves, they decided to go to the company half an hour later, after the 6 of them had finished their work. Su Yuanhang looked at the time and saw that it was almost 9 o'clock, so he went to the company with Tang Kurson. The children clamored to go with them, and Su Yuanhang and Tang Kurson did not stop them. As for Lin Shanshan, she naturally had to accompany them, leaving Tang Renxin alone at home. After everyone got into the extended-length Rolls-Royce, Su Yuanhang did not forget to say to Tang Renxin, Xian, remember to call if anything happens at home. Don't worry, brother-in-law, as long as I'm here, I guarantee that no one will break in. Tang Renxin joked. Su Yuanhang then started the car and slowly drove out of the Peach Blossom Spring. It was about a half-hour drive to the company, but fortunately it was not rush hour, and with Su Yuanhang's steady driving, everyone was very relaxed in the car. When they arrived at the company building, Tang Kuxian couldn't help but look at the surroundings of the new company. However, she noticed that the building was very tall, and the floors were hard to count. The 4 Chinese characters for the Tang group were hung high on the top floor, shining brightly in the dark. Tang Kuxian couldn't help but ask curiously, Yuanhang, how tall is this building? 312 meters. Su Yuanhang laughed and said, it's a little lower than the Petronas Twin Towers, with a total of 62 floors. Is the entire building owned by the Tang group? Tang Kurson secretly wondered. Before Su Yuanhang could answer, Lin Shanshan eagerly said, Sister Xian, this building is owned by the Tang group. Apart from our Tang Entertainment Company, I also met the staff of the Tang Film and Television base today. What Su Yuanhang did not say was that the construction cost of this Tang Group office building was as high as more than 7 billion yuan, equivalent to the initial construction cost of the Tang Film and Television base. At this time, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is worth 10 billion yuan. Although his cash assets are only worth a few billion, a company like Su Yuanhang's, which is worth tens of billions, may not necessarily be able to come up with a few hundred million in cash. Therefore, Su Yuanhang can also be considered an invisible tycoon. When entering the building entrance, after the security guard in the foyer looked at him and Su Yuanhang provided his ID, the security guard immediately became respectful and let him pass immediately. After parking the car in the open parking lot downstairs, Su Yuanhang noticed that quite a few cars were already parked there. There were BMWs, Land Rovers, and Mercedes-Benzes, but most of them were ordinary cars worth 100,000 yuan. Luxurious cars worth tens of millions of yuan like Su Yuanhang's were very rare. After parking, everyone entered the building together. Held by Tang Kurson, the cute kids began to visit the lobby of the Tang Group headquarters, which was still very impressive. If it weren't for the rush to meet the employees, Tang Kurson would have wanted to take the cute kids on a proper tour. At this time, Lin Shanshan took the lead, entered the elevator, and pressed the 5th floor button. Soon after, they arrived at their destination. When the door opened, they could hear the noise coming from the office. Su Yuanhang looked to both sides of the corridor, which was more than 10 meters long, after getting out of the elevator. It was made of transparent glass, so he could see the situation in the office, which was divided but well arranged. Dozens of people were in the office, but it wasn't crowded at all, and there was a lot of space. Seeing that they were eating takeout and that each department was having a group meeting, Su Yuanhang and Tang Kachin couldn't help but smile at each other. When they arrived at the office door, Lin Shanshan walked in, and they looked towards the door after hearing the noise. Although they had been notified in advance, when they saw Su Yuanhang and Tang Kachin come to visit with the cute kids, the employees immediately became excited and all put down their takeout and stood up, shouting, "Good evening, Chairman and Sister Kachin." Su Yuanhang had read the profiles of these employees, and most of them were very young and full of energy. The oldest employee was only in his early 30s, while the department managers and the like were a bit older, but at the moment they were all in a big group. Su Yuanhang also felt a little moved. "Brothers and sisters, didn't I ask Shan Shan to tell you to order whatever you want for dinner? Why did you all just order fried rice or rice bowls?" The department manager, however, walked out and laughed. "Mr. Su, it doesn't matter what you eat, as long as it fills your stomach. Now I order you all to put down your chopsticks and follow me." Su Yuanhang said heroically, "Shan Shan, contact the hotel restaurant and book the whole place. These employees work so hard and know how to save the company expenses, so how could Su Yuanhang treat them badly?" Lin Shanshan was also ignited by Su Yuanhang's words, and she immediately took out her phone to make the contact. Tang Koxin followed up, "I'll treat tonight, Mr. Su, don't fight with me." Su Yuanhang couldn't help but laugh. "Okay, you're treating." The employees' eyes welled up with tears in an instant. They were moved, and they all said in unison, "Thank you, Chairman, thank you, Sister Xin. You've worked hard today." Su Yuanhang continued, "I heard from Lin Shanshan that you're prepared to sleep in the company for one night, right?" "Yes, Chairman, there's plenty of space here to sleep." One employee said with a smile, "After all, it's the first day, and we didn't prepare anything." "Chairman, Tangrang Group is really big, it's on par with those leading companies." Another employee got excited, "So even if I have to sleep here every day, I'm willing." "There are water, electricity and toilets here, I don't even want to go out and rent a house," someone said. In this era of soaring prices and pitifully low wages, young people are under a lot of pressure, and Su Yuanhang feels it deeply. He laughed and said, "You guys are treating the company like your own home?" "Yes, Chairman, if possible, I really want to set up camp here, Someone responded. Tang Kurson and the others were amused. However, Su Yuanhang got back to business and said, "I've arranged a place for you to live, at the Tang apartments. You can move in directly with just your bags. Of course, if you want to rent your own place, the company will give you a subsidy of 600 yuan, and you will have to pay the rest out of your own pocket." At this point, the employees were all surprised to hear that there were also staff quarters. "Boss, is this for real?" Even Lin Shanshan and Tang Kurson didn't know about this. They all looked at Su Yuanhang in astonishment, waiting for him to answer. "Why would I lie to you?" Su Yuanhang said with a smile, "Tang Group is such a big company, how could it not have staff quarters? It's less than 5 kilometers from the company. After dinner at the hotel restaurant later, I'll take you to the apartments to rest. So now, you pack your personal belongings and follow me immediately." "Boss, can we go to the apartment first to put our luggage down before going to dinner?" A female employee plucked up the courage to ask. Naturally, the others also chimed in, "Chairman, the main thing is that we want to change our clothes." Su Yuanhang naturally acceded to their request and said, "Okay, then let's go to the apartment to put our luggage down and then go to dinner." Lin Shanshan also put away her phone at this time and said, "Boss, the restaurant has been booked, and the whole floor has been reserved, which is enough for 100 people to eat together." "Okay, then everyone pack up and let's go." Su Yuanhang also waved his hand, and then, amidst the staff's enthusiastic cheers, began to pack his own luggage. He said with a smile, "I'll wait for you downstairs, don't worry, take your time." "Yes, boss." Then, Su Yuanhang took the children's hands and left the office. As they walked out, Tang Kuxin couldn't believe it and said, "Yuanhang, I didn't know that Tang Group had staff apartments." "Su Yuanhang, how many industries do you have?" "Every day, a new industry pops up, and Xin and I are surprised several times a day." Lin Shanshan added. Su Yuanhang laughed and said, "A lot. You'll find out more as time goes on." Tang Kuxin was overwhelmed when she saw him being mysterious. She never imagined that Su Yuanhang would be so rich, almost on a par with those well-known large enterprises. The little ones looked at the office building curiously. As it was the first time they had been in such a big place, they couldn't stop looking. "Daddy, this place is even bigger than our house." Su Yuanhang laughed and said, "Someday, when you have time, I'll take you on a nice tour, okay?" "Yes." "Daddy, is this the new place where you and Auntie Shan Shan work?" Tang Koxian answered, yes, this is Daddy's company, and Mommy and Auntie Shan Shan will both work here. If you miss Mommy in the future, you can come and visit us anytime. Yes. Seeing the children's happy faces, Su Yuanhang felt a great sense of satisfaction. After going downstairs, Su Yuanhang told the children to get in the car first, so that they wouldn't catch a cold outside. He himself waited outside for the staff to come down. Tang Kurson accompanied Su Yuanhang, exhaling a breath of cold air and poking her hand, saying, "It's really cold at night." At that time, she was wearing long sleeves and didn't have a leather jacket, so Su Yuanhang took off a denim jacket he was wearing and put it on her, saying, "It's cooling down at night, if you're cold, go wait in the car. Put that shirt on, don't catch a cold." Tang Kurson saw that Su Yuanhang was staying outside in a thin shirt, so she listened to him and returned the jacket to Su Yuanhang, saying, "I'll wait in the car, and if you get cold, come in." Okay. Su Yuanhang grinned. After Tang Kurson got into the car, it didn't take long for the employees to come downstairs one after the other. Some of the employees drove themselves, while others came by plane or high-speed train. This relocation operation really exhausted them. So Su Yuanhang was thinking of organizing an outing at some point to let them relax. After a while, the employees had all gathered and began discussing how to get to the staff apartments. Some drove their own cars, while others took taxis. As for Su Yuanhang's attempt to invite people to ride in his car, all the employees refused. On the one hand, they were afraid to be alone with Su Yuanhang and others, and on the other hand, they felt some pressure to ride in such an expensive car. After finally reaching a consensus, Su Yuanhang also sent his location to Lin Shanshan, asking her to send it to the group chat so that the employees could navigate. Su Yuanhang set off first, leading the convoy to the apartment. However, the 5-kilometer distance, coupled with the fact that it was already 10 o'clock, meant that there weren't too many vehicles on the road. After 10 minutes or so, when they arrived, Tang Kurson could see a super building through the car window. At this time, an apartment manager who had been notified had been waiting at the door for a long time. After Su Yuanhang got out of the car, the person in charge came up to him and shook his hand, saying, "Chairman, good evening." Naturally, Su Yuanhang's mind flashed with the relevant personal data of this group of people in charge, so he said calmly, "The apartment is all packed up, right?" "Chairman, it's all packed up and we're just waiting for everyone to move in." The person in charge explained, "We will also divide the living areas according to the positions of the staff. It's fine for senior management to want to live here, and the higher the rank, the better the living conditions. Okay, when everyone arrives, you will be in charge of the arrangements." Su Yuanhang added, "After everyone has moved in, you should follow us for a late-night snack." "Chairman, this is what we should do." In the face of Su Yuanhang, they still acted rather reserved. Tang Kurson was also seeing so many people for the first time, and they all looked deferential in Su Yuanhang's presence. Moreover, the way he pointed out the way things should be done was inexplicably very charismatic and very attractive. Lin Shanshan took Tang Kurson's hand and whispered, "Xanjia, have you noticed that Su Yuanhang is full of airs and graces, looking like an emperor on a private visit?" Tang Kurson couldn't help but nod. In a short while, the employees also gathered in front of the apartment building, and the person in charge started to lead them to their respective residences to settle in. Su Yuanhang shouted at them, "After you put down your luggage, come down, and after you finish eating the midnight snack, come back to clean up and rest." "No problem, Chairman." "Chairman, this apartment is even more luxurious than the one I rented outside. It's so great. It's better for two people to live together, hee hee." At this moment, a couple of employees came to Su Yuanhang's side and said deferentially, "Chairman, can we discuss something with you?" "Say it." Su Yuanhang looked at the couple without any airs. "We were wondering if we could live together in the same apartment." The man looked to be about 25 or 26 years old, and the woman was about the same age. Su Yuanhang had learned that they had graduated from the same university and had worked together at the company ever since. They were considered to be the only couple in the company who had been together since university, and were the envy of many. According to company regulations, this was not allowed. Su Yuanhang explained. The couple glanced at each other, and both could not help but look disappointed. Su Yuanhang of course understood their feelings, and wanted to live together in the apartment so that they could avoid the rent for renting an apartment outside. "But I can give you a slight green light." Su Yuanhang actually had his own ideas, and after agreeing, he emphasized, "However, I hope that when you live in the apartment, you can ensure that you don't disturb other people. If there are problems, you will have to move out." Seeing that Su Yuanhang had agreed, the couple was ecstatic. Chairman, we will definitely not disturb other people. Thank you, Chairman. The girl also agreed wholeheartedly, and if we affect other people, we are willing to move out. Okay, then you go tell the apartment manager to take care of your residents. Su Yuanhang smiled. After they left with their luggage, Tang Kersen smiled faintly. Yuanhang, I actually know them. They have been diligent at work and their relationship is particularly stable. I heard that they are trying to save money to buy a house. Nowadays, it's really rare to find a couple who have worked together since graduating from university, so it's really something to be envious of. Lin Shanshan followed up. They are usually very straight-laced in order to save money for a house, so boss, you have also saved them a sum of money and helped them realize their dream of buying a house more quickly. Su Yuanhang saw his own reflection in the boy. So if he can help a little, he will. Young people starting a business or working still have very high pressure, so Su Yuanhang is doing his bit. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden task, helping employees solve their housing problems, and receiving a cash reward of 100 million plus a Tangren Plaza in Furong City. Chapter 82, A Life of Winning. At this time, Su Yuanhan's wealth had accumulated to 2 billion. This is cash and deposits. However, what surprised him was that in addition to having a Tangren Plaza in Shanghai, there was now also a commercial plaza of his own in the main commercial strategic area of Furong City, allowing Su Yuanhang to see the picture of his own thriving business territory in the future. At this point, after the apartment move-in was all arranged, Su Yuanhang took them to the hotel restaurant to eat dinner. After reserving the entire restaurant, the dozens of people followed the arrangement of the hotel staff and various delicacies were served. Naturally, there was also wine, but only 1 glass per person. This was to prevent them from drinking too much and not being able to get up for work in the morning. Su Yuanhang also toasted with his colleagues at the table, and on the other hand, he also wanted to say a few words. Everyone has worked hard today, and some colleagues have even followed the company's relocation to this unfamiliar place thousands of miles away. As the company owner, I have the responsibility and obligation to take care of everyone's food, clothing, housing, and transportation. He continued, tomorrow morning, everyone should write down the problems they encounter and hand them to the relevant person in charge of the company. He will compile them and give them to me. I want to see what difficulties everyone faces during this relocation, and I will try my best to solve them for you all. At this point, the company employees have fully felt Su Yuanhang's sincerity. Compared to Lin Donghui, Su Yuanhang is generous and easygoing, and he is very considerate of his subordinates. This is why they are willing to relocate with him. One employee said with a smile, Chairman, my hometown is actually Furong City, so I'm going home to work. Although I'm not from Furong City, I'm from the next town over. I told my parents yesterday that I'm going home to work, and they were overjoyed, thinking that it'll be more convenient for me to come home since I'll be closer to them. Chairman, in fact, everyone is more or less a little uncomfortable, but Furong City, as the entertainment capital, is more suitable for us to show our talents, so I think this relocation is very wise. Of course, there are still some people who have not spoken, but you can tell from their expressions that they are all hiding their feelings. This is also why Su Yuanhang specifically asked them to write down any difficulties or needs they encounter, so that he can resolve the matter in advance. The meal did not last long and Su Yuanhang also sought everyone back to the apartment. The apartment is managed by a caretaker, so he will be the first to know if anything happens. Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen went home, and the children were already asleep. Kersen, the children are sleeping later and later now, so in the future they still need to be in bed by 10 o'clock, Su Yuanhang considered. After all, the children are still growing up, and Tang Kersen agreed, okay, I'll listen to you. Tonight, Tang Kersen listened to Su Yuanhang's speech at the dinner table and knew that he really had the kind of commanding presence of a chairman. Although he was only in his 20s, he was very organized, and at this time, his impression of him, or his admiration, went up another level. Yuanhang, in the future, we will both be very busy, and I'm afraid that the babies will have no one to take care of them again. Tang Kersen knew that as Su Yuanhang's business grew stronger and stronger, coupled with her own status, she would often be filming, so she became worried. Su Yuanhang had already considered this problem long ago. After the two had settled the children, they started walking around the peach blossom spring, talking as they went. Don't worry about work, I'll take care of things at home, he said. Su Yuanhang reassured his wife, who looked puzzled, although I founded Tang Group, I've handed over everything to the people in the company. I'm just a figurehead, so I have more time to spend with the kids. At this time, Tang Kersen felt that Su Yuanhang was a man who could be relied on. With him there for everything, she felt that there was no problem that couldn't be solved. Yuanhang, I want to discuss something with you, Tang Kurson said hesitantly. Speak. Su Yuanhang gave a faint smile, then sat down on the wooden chair in the courtyard, and laughed. Is there anything else you're worried about? If I start my career again in the future, I want to turn down unnecessary announcements and only take on film and television. I don't want to take on any announcements for commercials or variety shows. Tang Kurson knows that this is the only way for an artist or company to go. If there are any commercials looking for you, being able to make an extra buck is a buck, and it can even enhance your influence. However, now that her status is different, and she doesn't lack money, she seriously considered it. I want to spend all this time on my children and want to grow up with them while they are still young. Su Yuanhang felt that Tang Kurson's idea was correct. In this impatient era, many children in families find it difficult to get more attention from their parents. They are busy running around, just trying to live a better life for their families and children. But in fact, what children need more is not some material rewards, but rather the company of their parents. Someone to comfort them when they go to sleep, someone to feed them when they eat, someone to lean on when they are sad. As parents, this is actually a very difficult multiple-choice question. For ordinary families, spending time with their children means no income. But for the Su Yuanhang family, this is not a difficult question. Tang Kurson is worried that this will reduce some of the company's profit opportunities. Fortunately, the company is his own, so Su Yuanhang is naturally happy to say, "Of course you can, I'm all for it." But this will cause losses to the company, Tang Kurson worries. Hey, what's the big deal? Su Yuanhang smiled faintly. The company doesn't rely on you alone to make money, and besides, I have so many businesses under my banner, there are plenty of ways to make money. Even if I don't go to work right now, just from my investments and shares in those companies, the dividends I get every year could be more than an ordinary person could earn in a lifetime, more than enough to support this family. Tang Kurson knew that Su Yuanhang had many businesses under his banner, and investing in real estate had earned him a lot of money, plus there were also investment dividends from some listed groups. At this point, he is winning in life. Thank you, Tang Kurson. I really appreciate Su Yuanhang's understanding. We are family, so don't mention thank you. Su Yuanhang laughed. It's getting late, we still have a flight to catch tomorrow, so go back and rest. Tang Kurson couldn't help but become excited and apprehensive. Do you want me to pack your luggage? No, I'll just take a few clothes. Su Yuanhang laughed. I'll be back in 2 or 3 days, and I'll visit your parents then. Okay. Tang Kurson nodded slightly, then followed back in, and you get some rest early. Good night. Su Yuanhang watched her leave, and at the moment, his mood was also slightly excited. The system's task has also been triggered, and he is also looking forward to this journey. Chapter 83 The Surprise from the Fiancé. The next day. Su Yuanhang got up at just after 5 o'clock. He had slept for less than 5 hours in total. He needed to get up early to prepare breakfast, so that the kids could have a nice meal when they woke up. In addition, it would take an hour to get to the airport, so Su Yuanhang had left time to spare, so that he wouldn't be flustered when he arrived at the airport. Unexpectedly, Tang Kurson also got up, and they both thought of the same thing at the same time. Tang Kurson even got up earlier than he did, and was already in the bathroom getting ready. Fortunately, Su Yuanhang had learned from past experience, and seeing the light on in the bathroom, he went to the bathroom on the first floor to get ready. There were spare toothbrushes and towels. After rinsing his hair again, Yu Chenfeng went to the kitchen to prepare a rich and nutritious breakfast for the kids. The first meal was an omelette, followed by millet and pumpkin porridge, plus steamed egg with shrimp and stir-fried broccoli. Orange and blueberry were also prepared as dessert. He also took out the milk and heated it, so that the children could choose whether to drink millet porridge or milk. Due to the rush, Su Yuanhang did not make 6 servings, and Lin Shanshan went downstairs last night to specifically tell Su Yuanhang not to prepare breakfast for them. After washing up, Tang Kurson also went downstairs to help Su Yuanhang. The couple worked together efficiently, gradually developing a tacit understanding, and methodically preparing each dish. Yuanhang, have you packed your luggage? Tang Kurson asked. I only have a few casual clothes, so there's nothing to pack. Su Yuanhang is a guy, so he's pretty straightforward when it comes to traveling. What about you? Do you have a lot of stuff for the kids? Do you want to put it in my suitcase? I've already packed. Just like you said, we'll be back in 2 or 3 days, so there's not a lot of stuff. Tang Kurson also travels lightly, but she does have more stuff for the kids. Then she added, I went to your room a while ago, but you weren't there. I bought you 2 sets of clothes. Try them on upstairs in a bit. If they fit, just wear them. Su Yuanhang was a little surprised when he heard this. You bought me clothes? When was this? I saw that you only had 2 sets of clothes for washing and changing these past few days, and it seemed like you only had 1 set of pajamas, so I bought you both. Tang Kursen's face was beaming with a quiet smile as she continued, you said before that you were 1.87 meters tall, so I bought you clothes according to your height. You'll have to see how the sizes fit after you wear them. Su Yuanhang was very touched and also a little surprised. He had been busy with work and the kids, and had forgotten to buy some decent clothes for himself. At the moment, he was still wearing some rather casual and simple clothes, but with his figure and looks, even if the clothes only cost a few hundred yuan, they were still very fashionable and elegant. He didn't really have any requirements for his clothes, and he didn't go out much, so he didn't have many clothes. Thank you. Su Yuanhang knew that this was Tang Kursen's thought, so he politely thanked her. Her words were just heard by Lin Shanshan, who had just got up. She yawned and said with a smile, Su Yuanhang, this is the first time XAN has bought clothes for a guy, and in XAN's opinion, these clothes will definitely make you look brand new. Tang Kursen had discussed her purchases with Lin Shanshan, and they had finally chosen a few sets of casual clothes priced from a few thousand to tens of thousands of yuan. As for Lin Shanshan, she also bought Tang Renqin a new set of clothes. Of course, she didn't spend as much as Tang Kursen, but it was all from the heart. Shanshan, you're up too. Tang Kursen turned around and smiled as she saw the other person approaching. You're both going on a long trip, so I'm definitely coming to see you off. Lin Shanshan laughed, Xiao Xian is awake too, so we'll take you to the airport in a bit. In fact, Tang Kursen had originally asked Uncle Chen to take her to the airport. Although Su Yuanhang and Tang Renqin had been driving for the past 2 days, and Uncle Chen had become free, Tang Kursen did not want to cancel the agreement with him. I've also told Uncle Chen to come over. Anyway, XAN and I don't have anything to do, so we might as well go out for a stroll. Lin Shanshan was now also free, so while Su Yuanhang and Tang Kursen were going back to their hometown, she was also going to accompany Tang Renqin, so she told Uncle Chen to go home and rest. Okay, I'll send Uncle Chen a message. Tang Kursen said, taking out her phone to send a message to Uncle Chen. As for Su Yuanhang, it would be bad if he didn't make breakfast for them, so he laughed and said, then you can have breakfast together. No, we're not hungry. Lin Shanshan waved her hand and said, we'll go out for steak with Xiao Xian later and spend some time alone together, hee. She said, and then she trotted upstairs, smiling happily, saying, you 4 should hurry up and eat. If you need any help, just let us know. Su Yuanhang and Tang Kursen smiled at each other and continued to make breakfast. After a while, Tang Kursen looked at the time and said to Su Yuanhang, I'll go wake the kids up. Okay, I'll finish cleaning up the kitchen and then come upstairs. Su Yuanhang responded. Afterwards, Tang Kursen went to wake up the children. They had slept in a bit late the night before, so they were still a bit groggy. Tang Kursen had to personally take them to the bathroom to wash up and then brush their hair. After 10 minutes or so, Su Yuanhang had also finished preparing and warming up the breakfast, and then went upstairs to his room. Seeing that there were several sets of clothes and shoes on the chairs and bed, he was still extremely happy. He looked at the clothes he was wearing, which were a bit wrinkled, and compared them to the clothes he had just bought, which were shiny and bright. After thinking about it, he changed into the new clothes, which were all part of the same set. Paired with the new sneakers he had just bought, they fit perfectly. After looking at himself in the full-length mirror a few times, he felt that he had the potential to become a celebrity. Perfect. Su Yuanhang praised himself, acting narcissistically. Knock, knock, knock. At that moment, there was a knock on the door, and then the sound of the children's voices came. Daddy, open the door quickly. Daddy, are you there? Su Yuanhang walked over, opened the door, and found that the children were already fully dressed. The 2 of them were wearing black and white princess dresses, with their hair in pigtails and small decorations, very cute and touching. They looked like little cute babies who had escaped from the 2nd dimension, and Su Yuanhang couldn't help but praise them. Babies, you're very pretty today. Hee, it's mommy who helped us get dressed. The baby said with a smile, Daddy is also very handsome today. Tang Kursen also came over and, after looking at Su Yuanhang's outfit, her eyes changed. It was obvious that Su Yuanhang did indeed have a different air about him when wearing his new clothes. It is said that people rely on their clothes and horses rely on their saddles. Although Su Yuanhang is very handsome, he looks even more attractive at this moment. Su Yuanhang and Tang Kursen exchanged glances, and with a trace of excitement in his heart, he said, Xian, what do you think of how I look? Very good, does it fit? Tang Kurson didn't have many words of praise, just a gentle nod, while keeping one eye on him and asking. It fits, the size is just right. Su Yuanhang laughed. This suit is a loose fit, so it will feel lighter when you wear it. Tang Kuxin was wearing a similar style to Su Yuanhang today. Su Yuanhang could feel it, but was too embarrassed to say anything. Both of them looked like a perfect match, both in terms of appearance and body shape. Daddy, let's go downstairs for breakfast quickly, and then we have to catch the plane. Daddy, can we see Grandma and Grandpa today? Su Yuanhan's hands are being held by the two adorable children. Seeing their expectant faces, he says happily, yes, today we're going to go to Grandpa and Grandma's house to play. Yes. We're going to meet Grandpa and Grandma. The children are full of anticipation and cheering. The family of four arrives in the dining room and laughter and joy, and the table is also set with meals. After Su Yuanhang removed the thermal cover, the delicious smell of millet porridge and other delicacies spread. The children were so excited that they asked, Daddy, Mummy, can we eat yet? Go ahead, Tang Kurson said with a smile. At this point, the children knew how to put on scarves so that they wouldn't get their clothes dirty while eating. Tang Kurson and Su Yuanhang sat down together, and they drank the porridge and ate the other dishes. Every morning, Su Yuanhan's favorite thing to do is to have breakfast with his family. After eating for a while, the children said to their parents, Daddy, Mummy, we're done eating. Daddy, I like the steamed egg with shrimp the most. And this broccoli is also delicious, I want to eat it again in the future. Okay, I'll cook it for you again in the future, Su Yuanhang smiled and said, I'll cook for you again later. Then he saw Tang Kurson also stop eating, so he asked, Are you done eating? Yes, we're done, Tang Kurson said, getting up and starting to clear the table. Su Yuanhang, however, reached out and grasped her wrist. In Tang Kurson's surprise, he explained, I'll clear the table, you and the kids take a break. Tang Kurson thought about the luggage that had not yet been taken downstairs, so she nodded and said, Okay, I'll go upstairs and get the luggage. I'll help you in a little while. Su Yuanhang said, Don't carry it alone. Although the two were still a bit polite, they had already made physical contact and their affection was growing little by little. Tang Rinchen and Lin Shanshan came down just in time to see the scene, and couldn't help but laugh out loud. Brother-in-law, sister, you want to make us eat dog food so early in the morning? Ouch, Su Yuanhang, this suit is pretty good, it looks great on you. Lin Shanshan also spoke up. Su Yuanhang immediately let go of Tang Kurson's hand and then said to the two of them, You are allowed to be affectionate every day, but I am not allowed to have some time alone with Kurson? Tang Kurson looked at Su Yuanhang in surprise, not expecting him to reply like that. However, she did not stop him, but instead felt a little embarrassed. It was as if someone had really discovered something special about the two of them, and her heart started racing. Yes, for the next 2 days, we will leave Kurson in your care. Lin Shanshan said with a smile, You have to take good care of Sister Xin. At this time, Tang Rinchen had already come to Su Yuanhang's side, put his arm around his shoulder, and whispered, Brother-in-law, you have to seize this opportunity this time. This is as much as your younger brother can do to help. Of course, if you have any problems, feel free to contact me, I guarantee to give you divine assistance. As he spoke, he also winked at Su Yuanhang, causing him to be unable to laugh or cry. However, Tang Rinchen also wanted to get along with Tang Kichin as soon as possible. Don't worry, I will take good care of her. Su Yuanhang also made a promise. The cute kids were grinning and watching the fun. At this time, Lin Shanshan noticed something and said to the two of them, Hey, Sister Xin, this outfit looks just like a couple's outfit with Su Yuanhang, it really matches. Shan, you didn't notice it before, but you're right, it really suits them. Tang Rinchen immediately started to help out, Sister, you and your brother-in-law standing together, you're a perfect match. What are you talking about? Tang Kurson pouted, Stop it, I'm going upstairs to carry the luggage, Shan, help me. Sure, I'll help you. Lin Shanshan rolled up her sleeves and said very decisively. At this time, Tang Kurson felt a bit like she was running away, and didn't want to stay and be teased by the two of them. After going upstairs, Lin Shanshan whispered to Tang Kurson again, Sister Xin, have you seen Su Yuanhan's body? Tang Kurson paused, her fair face suddenly turning red. Shanshan, what are you talking about? How could I have seen his body? Then you're making too little progress. Lin Shanshan added, but Su Yuanhan's body proportions are really good, those long legs are even longer than Tang Rinchen's, it's a pity that he's not a celebrity. Tang Kurson, however, laughed and said, I think it's good that he's not a celebrity. As if she understood what Tang Kurson meant, she smiled and said, Sister Xin, are you afraid that after he becomes a celebrity, he'll be targeted by even more girls? Tang Kurson didn't think that way. She just felt that the entertainment industry was very deep, and if Su Yuanhang entered this big vat of dye, who knew what would happen? Sister Xin, you're blushing, did I guess right? Lin Shanshan liked to joke with Tang Kurson and said with a smile. Tang Kurson, however, patted her arm and said, Don't make fun of me, hurry up and help me take the luggage downstairs, I'm afraid there will be traffic jams on the way and I won't make the plane. Okay, but Xin, this trip back to Su Yuanhang's hometown is just the opportunity. Lin Shanshan started thinking of ideas. After meeting Su Yuanhang's parents, they will definitely talk about the engagement. By then, you should just agree, because you guys are already engaged, and all that's missing is the official name. I think you should just set a date. Tang Kurson had actually thought of this as well. Meeting with Su Yuanhang's parents would definitely bring up the topic of marriage. In response, she still felt a little nervous and said, Shan, do you think that uncle and auntie will approve of me? Lin Shan suddenly noticed that Tang Kurson had become less confident. She said helplessly, My dear Kurson, don't you know how perfect you are? You have good looks and money, and you have given them two such cute and well-behaved granddaughters. There is no reason for them not to approve. Chapter 84 Fiancé, how many relationships has he been in? Tang Kuxian was encouraged by Lin Shan and gained some confidence. At this time, the luggage was also pushed out, and Lin Shan carried one hand and pushed Tang Kuxian with the other, saying, Sister Xian, don't think too much, let's go, everything will be fine. Okay. Tang Kuxian smiled happily and pushed the luggage downstairs. Su Yuanhang had just finished cleaning up and was walking up the stairs when he saw them struggling with the luggage and went up to help. Tang Renxin was going to the garage to get the car. When Su Yuanhang was carrying two suitcases with both hands, only one of which was lighter and being carried by Tang Kurson, Tang Renxin also parked the car at the gate. After putting the suitcases in the car, Su Yuanhang still had his own luggage, so he quickly went upstairs again, as if he were flying. Without a minute to spare, he carried his luggage down the stairs. The group followed, and Tang Kurson drove off after closing the door behind them. Fortunately, there was plenty of space in the car, and drinks and fruit were prepared, so the kids could watch cartoons on their phones and eat snacks. Instead, Su Yuanhang and the others started chatting. Brother-in-law, where is your hometown? Our village is famous for its tea plantations and terraced fields. Su Yuanhang introduced it as the Tibet of the Egret Island. Tang Renxin was full of longing after hearing this. Brother-in-law, is your hometown really very beautiful? There are canyons and waterfalls. Su Yuanhang continued, I remember when I was a child, we would roam the mountains and fields, picking wild fruit. Just now, I was thinking that I wanted to go there too. Tang Renxin said, his mouth watering. Lin Shanshan searched on her phone for the Ludao Tibet that Su Yuanhang had mentioned, and she actually found it. She first read the introduction, and was instantly captivated by the scenery and the photos. She also discovered that the advantage of Su Yuanhang's hometown was the feeling of being in the heart of the Yunding Mountains, with an altitude of over 1,000 meters, simple folk customs, and houses scattered in a line in the canyon. There were terraced fields and tea plantations in the surrounding area, creating a stunning view. Hey, Su Yuanhang, your village is still one of the 10 most beautiful villages on Ludao. As soon as Lin Shanshan finished speaking, Tang Kurson couldn't help but look over curiously. Up until now, she hadn't asked Su Yuanhang where his hometown was, actually thinking that she would find out when she got there. Looking at the scenery captured in the photos, it felt a little isolated from the world. The mountains are stacked one on top of the other, and the various cloud layers seem to be at the foot of the mountains, blending in with the houses. She loves this kind of peaceful and melodious life the most. Su Yuanhang's parents have been living off tea cultivation for years, and almost every household does the same. The annual output of high mountain tea, with the joint efforts of several villages and towns, can reach thousands of tons. It is also sold to regions such as island countries, Europe, and the United States. The livelihood of every household is inextricably linked to tea. In addition to high mountain tea, Woyurok tea has also been introduced in recent years, greatly improving the quality of tea. With the rapid development of the internet, Zizing Village, known as Egret Island, has also become a place where some internet celebrities go to check in. In terms of tourism, it has also begun to flourish in the past 2 years. I really want to go too. Lin Shanshan was also attracted by the stunning scenery and was full of longing. However, this time she was going to meet the parents, so it was inconvenient for them. Su Yuanhang laughed and said, wait until next time. This time I'll take Kuxin to explore the area first. Brother-in-law, you said it, don't go back on your word. Tang Renxin didn't feel any psychological pressure and said, Sister, if you want to go with brother-in-law, remember to send us videos and photos if it's fun. Next time, let's all go together. Tang Kuxin laughed and said, we'll see what happens. At this time, she was meeting her elders, and her heart was pounding, not knowing what kind of challenges she would face. However, she also had a hint of expectation. When they arrived at the airport, Su Yuanhang and Tang Renxin took charge of the luggage, while Lin Shanshan took Tang Kersen's hand and the two of them took charge of the baby. There was still an hour before boarding, and they had purchased first-class tickets, so they waited in the VLP lounge. On this trip, not only did Tang Kersen bring a mask, but Su Yuanhang and the baby also wore masks. The main reason was that they didn't want to attract too much attention and avoid any negative consequences. Lin Shanshan and Tang Renxin stayed with them the whole time, and they didn't leave until they boarded the plane. After safely entering the first-class cabin, Su Yuanhang had just sat down when Tang Kersen's and Su Yuanhang's phones rang almost at the same time. Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen looked at the caller ID and smiled at each other. My father's. And my mother's. They then answered their phones and sat on either side of the plane to respond. Dad, I'm on the plane, and I'll probably get off around midnight. Su Yuanhang knew the reason for his father's call, so he volunteered, I'll probably be home around 2 p.m. Okay, then you guys take it easy on the road, and take care of the kids and your wife. Su Yuanhang's father wasn't too fussy, and said bluntly, your mother and I will start cooking now, and wait for you to eat when you get home. Su Yuanhang glanced at Tang Kersen and the Meng children and laughed, okay, but don't make too much, just order whatever you like. What are you talking about? We'll take care of it, so don't worry. Su's father laughed and said, when you get home, just eat. Okay. Su Yuanhang knew that Su's father was hospitable and warm-hearted, so he didn't say anything more. After hanging up the phone, Tang Kersen was still talking on the other end. Mom, I know, I've got it all. Tang Kersen added, the babies are here too, they're very well behaved and won't cause any trouble. I know, I'll bring Yuanhang back in a couple of days. Tang Kersen then glanced at Su Yuanhang and said, okay, I'll hang up now. I'll send you a message when I get off the plane. Bye. After hanging up the phone, Tang Kersen couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Su Yuanhang curiously asked, what did your aunt say to you? She just told me to have a good talk with my uncle and aunt and explain why I hid the birth of the babies from them and kept it a secret from everyone to avoid them getting the wrong idea. Tang Kersen's mood once again became apprehensive at this moment. Seeing the other person's nervous emotions, Su Yuanhang laughed and said, Kuxin, I have already explained this matter to my parents, so don't worry. They are waiting for us to go back with happy feelings, not to give us a severe punishment. In addition, they have longed to meet the babies, and they have already prepared a lot of food. My mother's cooking is better than mine, so you will have a good time. Being comforted by Su Yuanhang, Tang Kuxin's mood improved a lot. A smile appeared on her face as she said, my mother also hopes that I can make a good impression on the uncles and aunts with the babies. Su Yuanhang didn't particularly ask Tang Kersen to change her address, after all, the two of them hadn't yet settled their important life matters, so it was also correct to address them as uncles and aunts. After the exchange, the plane took off. The 1.5-hour journey was just a matter of dozing off. The cute babies were also relatively well behaved in their seats, watching cartoons and eating the snacks and fruit provided on the plane. It wasn't long before they felt the movement of the plane landing. They shouted after them, Daddy, Mummy, we're getting off the plane. Su Yuanhang grinned and said, yes, we're going home. The nice thing about first class is that you can leave first. Tang Kersen took her handbag, then took De Bao's hand and followed Su Yuanhang and Xiao Bao off the plane. Then they could go to the baggage claim area first to collect their luggage, so they didn't need to wait with the ordinary passengers and could leave the airport more quickly. When they arrived in Ludao, a refreshing sea breeze blew as they left the airport, carrying a dampness with it. Living in a city by the sea, the moisture is heavier. Following Su Yuanhang as they walked out of the terminal, Tang Kersen's mood was not as uneasy as it had been when they first boarded the plane, but rather much more relaxed. Yuanhang, during the first 2 episodes of the drama, I came to Ludao once and stayed for a while. Tang Kersen laughed. In fact, Su Yuanhang had known about this for a long time. Because he had watched this drama. A family-friendly drama starring Tang Kersen. 2 families lacking maternal love, raised together by 2 fathers, and with the added warmth of 2 brothers. That drama became an instant hit after airing, so much so that it boosted tourism. So have you been to Galanjiu? Su Yuanhang laughed. On the plane, he explained to Tang Kursen that someone would come to pick them up. While he was on the phone, he waited for Tang Kursen to answer. "I've been there once. It was windy that day and the weather was also very good. I spent the day hanging out with friends from the crew, and then went to the pedestrian street to eat seafood and some satay noodles. Nothing special." Tang Kursen laughed. "I still prefer Ludo." The cute kids didn't follow. At that time, no one knew that she was already a mother, even though no one knew her face value as a young girl. "I'll take a look in the next 2 days and take you out again," Su Yuanhang said, and when the phone connected, he said, "Cousin, we're at exit 8, just drive straight over." Before going home, Su's father had contacted Su Yuanhang separately about how to get back. After some discussion, Su's father felt that taking a taxi was not a good or convenient idea, so he asked his cousin to come and pick them up. When they were young, Su Yuanhang and his cousin also got along well, so he agreed, and secretly gave him a big red envelope of 2,000 yuan as a fee for his trouble. "I can see you." Su Yuanhang's cousin was 5 years older than him, married with a child, and the child was about the same age as Su Yuanhang. At this time, a SUV drove up and stopped next to Su Yuanhang. From the car window, a burly, dark-skinned man wearing short sleeves greeted Su Yuanhang, saying, "Yuanhang, over here." Then he got out of the car himself and helped carry the luggage. Seeing Tang Kursen, who was wearing a mask, and the two cute kids, he greeted them warmly, saying, "Yuanhang, this is your cousin's wife, right?" In the eyes of outsiders, Su Yuanhang and Tang Kursen were a formal couple. Although the village seems to be in the mountains, the transportation and internet are very well developed. They also use TikTok when they are free, so they will learn about the more popular news of the day. It is already common knowledge that Su Yuanhang and the celebrity Tang Kursen have a secret daughter. Tang Kursen also nodded and said, "Hello, cousin." "Ha, cousin-in-law, I didn't think I would ever see a celebrity in person, I only used to see you on TV." My cousin is enthusiastic and cheerful, and laughed heartily, saying, "You and the kids get in the car first, and leave the luggage to me." Su Yuanhang put his arm around Tang Kursen's shoulders, and laughed as the other person became a little more reserved, saying, "Kursen, you take the kids to the car, and I'll come over after I put the luggage away with my cousin." "Okay." At this time, with Su Yuanhang by her side, Tang Kursen also felt more at ease. A few suitcases are not heavy for a man, and after Tang Kursen got into the car and sat in the back seat, the two of them quickly loaded the luggage. The little ones were still a little dazed, and when Su Yuanhang and his cousin sat in the driver's seat and passenger seat, respectively, they greeted them with a delay, sweetly shouting, "Hello, uncle." Cousin immediately beamed and said, "Ha, hello, little ones. Are you afraid of flying today?" "No, he. Uncle, do you want some candy?" Xiaobao said, and held out her hand, where 2 white bunny gummies appeared. These were a must-have item that they always carried in their pockets. After looking at them, her cousin didn't refuse and took them, then laughed and said, "Thank you, little ones." You're welcome, uncle." Tang Kursen, however, sat in the back seat without saying much, petting the kids' heads. My cousin, on the other hand, is very sociable and said to Su Yuanhang again, "Cousin, your baby is very well behaved, much better than my 2 ancestors at home." He shook his head and sighed with emotion. Su Yuanhang deliberately turned his head to look at Tang Kursen and the babies, and smiled slightly at her. "It's all thanks to Kursen for bringing them along." "Oh yes, cousin-in-law, I've prepared mineral water and drinks for you in the back seat, as well as tea picked personally in our village, all ready for you to drink." My cousin has prepared quite well, and he followed up with a warm welcome. Tang Kursen felt that her cousin was quite a nice person after this encounter, and she also gave a faint smile and said, "Thank you, cousin." "What do you mean, thank you? We're family." Her cousin added, "This time, when you come back with Yuanhang, you should consider this place your home. Don't be polite about anything, just let me know if you need anything." "I will," Tang Kursen responded. Su Yuanhang could tell that Tang Kursen was rather reserved, but he could understand. To ease her mood, Su Yuanhang deliberately tapped a few times on the central control screen to find the music software and played some soothing music to lighten the mood a little. Then, Su Yuanhang unscrewed a bottle of water and handed it to Tang Kursen, saying, "The temperature in Ludo is relatively high today, so drink some water." "My cousin, I'm also reacting. How about I turn on the air conditioning for you?" "Cousin, don't set the temperature too low," Su Yuanhang answered for Tang Kursen. Tang Kursen gave him a gentle smile as she took the mineral water. She knew that Su Yuanhang was also trying hard to calm himself down, so she was also trying to act naturally and calmly. "Daddy, I want some water too. I want some orange juice." Su Yuanhang was busy opening other drinks for them. Drink slowly, don't choke, Su Yuanhang reminded them. Thank you, Daddy. Menghua and Tang Kersen finally took off their masks at this time, revealing their true faces. After looking at their faces, although he was amazed, my cousin still very sensibly immediately averted his gaze and said to Su Yuanhang, "Cousin, the children are even cuter and prettier than what you see on TV." That's right, after all, they are my own children with XIN. Su Yuanhang became complacent, thinking that with our looks, the babies we give birth to will definitely not be bad. Tang Kuxian was amused by Su Yuanhang's narcissism and a smile could not help but appear at the corner of her mouth. From the rearview mirror, Su Yuanhang saw her smile and was secretly pleased. The cute kids were minding their own business, drinking their drinks and dangling their feet in the air. But fortunately, they weren't bored. With a white rabbit gummy in their mouths, they pouted as they watched SpongeBob SquarePants on the tablet. This is true. You were the village idiot in our village. As if to ease Tang Kersen's tension, my cousin also joked, "Cousin, you have no idea. My cousin went to school with me. Someone confessed to him in the first grade." Tang Kersen, on the other hand, was full of curiosity and said, "Really? He was famous back then." "That's right." My cousin continued, "When I went to university, he was still in junior high school, and he was already rumored to be the school heartthrob. Every day, he bragged to me that every time class started the next day, his desk would be filled with love letters." "Cousin, you're not allowed to do that." Su Yuanhang was embarrassed. This old story had been brought up for teasing. At this point, he really regretted asking his cousin to pick him up. On the one hand, he deliberately looked at Tang Kersen's expression, but found that Tang Kersen's face was wearing a faint smile, and she looked back at him and responded, "Cousin, Yuanhang has been in a few relationships, do you know that?" The cousin recalled a little and said, "It seems that I've never heard him say that. In the village, his classmates are also my friends, and we usually hang out together, so in casual conversations, I haven't heard that my cousin has been in a relationship or anything. As for going to college, I don't know. After all, he's all alone in a different province." The cousin added, "Oh yeah, I saw on the news that your cousin's wife went to the same school as Yuanhang." Su Yuanhang said helplessly, "Cousin, don't be such a gossip, okay?" Tang Kersen smiled knowingly, "I'm not sure about that either. At that time, I didn't pay much attention to that kind of thing." She added, looking at Su Yuanhang again. But her cousin was sure, there were so many talented people in college. "Although I'm not sure if my cousin was the school's most handsome guy, I'm sure you were the school's most beautiful girl." Tang Kersen felt embarrassed by the praise. Su Yuanhang, however, agreed with his cousin for the first time, nodding and saying, "Back then, Kersen was indeed a beautiful girl at the level of the school's most beautiful girl, and there were quite a few guys after her." Tang Kersen. But his cousin was curious, "Were you one of them?" "Me?" Su Yuanhang knew Tang Kersen back then, but they were in different majors and not in the same class, so they naturally had little contact. Plus, he thought that a beauty of Tang Kersen's caliber would certainly not lack wealthy and powerful second-generation rich guys around her, so naturally he didn't dare to pursue her. As he recalled it at this time, he heard Tang Kersen's thoughts. She was also curious about this question, so she answered bluntly, "Back then, I didn't think I was good enough for her, so naturally there was no follow-up." Ha, my cousin was amused. "Cousin, I never thought you would be unsure of yourself." Tang Kersen also didn't expect Su Yuanhang to think that way, and couldn't help but blurt out, "At that time, was I very cold?" She felt that she was very ordinary, and didn't give the impression of being aloof from others. On the contrary, she was always talking and laughing with her classmates in class. Looking back at herself at that time, Tang Kersen felt that she really had to be a lot more cheerful back then. It's just that after entering society and after so many years of trials and tribulations, one's temperament has mellowed. Especially after having the cute kids, Tang Kersen feels that she has become even more cautious. "Beautiful women give men the illusion," Su Yuanhang laughed and said, "It's hard to approach." "I agree with that." My cousin agreed. "Back then, I once tried to chase after the class flower, but she was very aloof and didn't even pay me any attention. Since then, whenever I see a beautiful woman, I just walk around the other way." Although there was an element of joking, Su Yuanhang knew that his cousin was a carefree person and it was really possible. Tang Kersen was amused and thought his cousin was very interesting. His cousin then got back to the topic and said, "Cousin, I heard that you have developed over the past few years. Those news reporters even said that you have started a company. Is that true?" Su Yuanhang knew that he could not hide his affairs from the villagers. This included his relatives and friends. So he didn't intend to hide anything. He said, I have invested some money and made some money, but not much. The news is full of falsehoods and fabrications. So you're saying that the company is real, but the billion-yuan mansion is not? His cousin asked curiously. Tang Kersen started to gossip at this point, sitting in the back seat as an onlooker. But from his cousin's words, it seemed that Su Yuanhang had not let anyone know about his career development over the years. He really is low-key enough. But when you think about it, with Lin Shanshan's help, I've been keeping an eye on Su Yuanhang for 3 or 4 years, and I never realized that he was a top boss. If I hadn't encountered this crisis, I'm afraid he would have continued to hide like this. Thinking about this, Tang Kersen also believes in a sense that Su Yuanhang is making a comeback for her. And her heart can't help but be filled with emotion. Su Yuanhang did not lie, but instead revealed, the billion-yuan mansion is also mine. Cousin almost lost control of the steering wheel, and his heart was directly shattered. Cousin, even your aunt and uncle don't know about this, do they? In fact, this happened in the past year or two. Su Yuanhang explained, so I haven't had time to tell them, and of course I'm afraid they won't believe me, so I haven't mentioned it. Good boy. Cousin exclaimed, Cousin, it seems you've made a lot of money. It's okay, barely enough to support the family. Su Yuanhang, however, glanced at Tang Kersen and said lightly. My cousin wanted to find a piece of tofu and headbutt himself to death, and he sighed with emotion, saying, You're barely enough, and with your sister-in-law's earning power, not to mention supporting the family, I'm afraid it's more than enough to support our whole village. In my opinion, you're just showing off your wealth. Chapter 85 Bringing his fiancée home. The car ride took more than 2 hours. From the airport to the village, with the atmosphere created by her cousin and Su Yuanhang, Tang Kersen did not feel bored. During this process, Tang Kersen also got to know her cousin's character, and he was a talkative person. During this time, Su Yuanhang also briefly mentioned his career and future plans. Her cousin was also very smart and never mentioned sensitive issues, which made Tang Kersen slightly relieved. Although it was in the village, the mountain road had been built a few years ago, and there were no twists or bumps. However, there were some steep slopes, and there were more corners than there were twists and turns. Fortunately, my cousin had long since mastered his driving skills, and we arrived at the village without any trouble. Contrary to what Tang Kersen had expected, Tong'an village had long been built up like a tourist attraction. The view was full of green vegetation and terraced fields, and the scenery was breathtaking. The tiredness from the day's journey suddenly lifted. The children had never seen such a beautiful landscape before. The layers of clouds looked as if they were about to fall, floating halfway up the mountainside, giving a very strange visual feast. At this time, the sky is clear and cloudless, and the sun shines down on the body, giving a warm and relaxed feeling. Each villager has their own house, perhaps a 1-story red brick building, some 2-story, and some 3-story small villa style. Some of these houses are dilapidated and some are renovated, all participating in the depths of a large tea garden. Tang Kersen immediately fell in love with this place. At 3 p.m., you can already see the smoke rising from the roofs of almost every household. It is heartwarming. Compared to the hustle and bustle of the big city, the tranquility of the village is very soothing. Su Yuanhang has also not returned for 2 years. At this time, seeing the changes in his home again, he felt emotional and said to his cousin, There have been great changes in the past 2 years. It has indeed been a big change. His cousin laughed and said, Nowadays, every household grows tea and sells it overseas, and life is getting better day by day. The 2 men carried their luggage. Su Yuanhang smiled at Tang Kersen again and said, We're home. We need to walk for a while. Tang Kuxian took the hands of the children and followed behind Su Yuanhang, replying, That's fine. We've just been on the bus all day, so it's good to get some fresh air, get to know the area a little, and see the sights. Daddy, this is where Grandma and Grandpa live? Big Baba was overjoyed. The scenery here is so beautiful, I like it here, hee hee. The air is also very fresh, and the clouds are so pretty, I feel like I could pick them off. Little Baba said innocently. My cousin was amused. Baby, you'll have to wait until morning. How about letting Grandpa and Grandma take you to the tea garden to pick some clouds? Wow, can we really pick clouds? The kids were surprised. Su Yuanhang laughed helplessly, Cousin, that's just morning mist, where are the clouds? It's all the same. My cousin laughed, Cousin, let your cousin treat you to the scenery of our village for a couple of days, I guarantee you'll fall in love with it. Tang Kersen looked at Su Yuanhang, and her heart began to race with anticipation. At that moment, a villager passed by, carrying a bamboo basket on his back and wearing a straw hat. Seeing Su Yuanhang and his cousin, as well as a stranger entering the village, he was full of surprise and said, "Hey, isn't this little brother?" Su Yuanhang greeted the other person, "Auntie Lu, just back from picking tea leaves?" It was October at the time, so the tea picked was autumn tea. And in late October, it would be winter tea. "Who is this?" Auntie Lu looked at the two cute twin children, who looked very healthy, and Tang Kuxian looked like a fairy come down to earth. She laughed and said, "Is this your girlfriend?" But her cousin laughed and said, "Auntie Lu, what girlfriend? This is my wife and daughter. I've become successful and am making a lot of money outside, and now I'm bringing my wife back to meet my parents-in-law." "Oh, this is amazing." Auntie Lu laughed alone. "Little brother, I've heard some kids in the village say that you married a big star as your wife these few days. It seems to be true." Su Yuanhang looked at Tang Kurson and saw her looking a little shy, so he laughed and said, "Auntie Lu, then we'll go back first, we'll chat later." All right, you go back quickly." Auntie Lu laughed and said, "Your parents have been butchering pigs and ducks these 2 days. It turns out to be such a joyous occasion. When you have the wedding banquet, remember to invite us." "Okay, bye, Auntie Lu." Su Yuanhang readily agreed. After that, they finally arrived in front of a house with an aged tiled roof. The entire house still had a very large footprint, and there was also a large courtyard, which together was estimated to be nearly 200 square meters. The kitchen was separate from the house, and at the moment, a burst of aroma was coming from inside the house, hitting them in the face and making the young kids hungry. Su Yuanhang smiled at the cute kids and said, "We're home, and Grandpa and Grandma will make us something delicious right away." "Wow, really?" The cute kids shouted happily, "Grandpa and Grandma, we're back." Tang Kurson, however, whispered, "Yuanhang, your nickname at home is Little Brother." "Yes," Su Yuanhang nodded. "Does that mean there's also an older brother?" Tang Kurson became curious. She hadn't asked Su Yuanhang about his family before, whether he had any siblings. But this touched a deep, dark past that Su Yuanhang did not want to talk about, but he still squeezed a smile and replied to Tang Kurson, "My older brother is my older brother." "Is he at home now?" Tang Kurson suddenly became nervous. Without waiting for Su Yuanhang to answer, his cousin explained, "Sister-in-law, Yuanhang's brother left when he was very young." Tang Kurson then noticed a hint of sadness in Su Yuanhang's expression, as if he were ashamed. It was clear that Su Yuanhang was hiding something in his heart. But she didn't ask any more. At this point, when the children shouted, two figures came out of the house and kitchen. They were Su Yuanhang's parents. Seeing Su Yuanhang and the people around him, Tang Kurson and the children, the two gray-haired old people immediately came over with beaming faces and shouted, "Yuanhang, you're back." Su Yuanhang looked at Tang Kurson. The other person was full of nervousness, but still greeted the two as they approached. "Hello, aunt and uncle. You must be Kurson, right? It's good that you're back." Su's mother directly shook Tang Kurson's hand, her face also carrying a touch of happiness and excitement. On one side, she looked at the cute children, a broad smile spreading across her face, and said, "These two are your precious granddaughters, right?" "Yes, Mom." Su Yuanhang laughed. "Dad, let's take the luggage in first." Yes, I'll help you." Su's father looked at his cousin and added, "You've worked hard, nephew. Stay for dinner later." "No need, uncle. There's still a lot to do at the factory. Some other time." "Your aunt and you should spend some time with your cousin and his wife today," his cousin said with a smile. "That's fine, I'll invite your family over for a casual meal some other time," said Su's father enthusiastically. "Great." My cousin then looked at Su Yuanhang and Tang Kurson and said, "I'll be going first, cousin and cousin-in-law. Have fun." "Thank you, cousin," Su Yuanhang and Tang Kurson said in unison. The children also shouted obediently, "Bye, Uncle Su." This made their cousin very happy. Of course, Su's parents were also a little surprised to see that the children were so well behaved. "Come, let's go inside and talk." Su's father started to greet them. At this time, after Su Yuanhang and Su's father carried the luggage inside together, they saw that the living room had been cleaned up and the dining table was full of all kinds of food. The children couldn't take their eyes off the food. Su Yuanhang took the luggage upstairs and said to Tang Kurson, "We'll be staying on the second floor for the next 2 days, and my parents will be on the first floor." "Okay," Tang Kurson said, and helped carry one piece of luggage upstairs. There were 4 rooms upstairs, and they were quite large. Su Yuanhang slept in one of them, which was immaculately clean despite not being used for a long time, as his parents had tidied it up. The other room was where the children slept. Sue's father laughed and said, "Coxin, the village is not like the big city. If you don't get used to sleeping here, you must let us know." "Uncle, I can sleep just fine," Tang Coxin laughed. "I won't get used to it." After all, she had been filming for many years and had not been spoiled. Sometimes she had to soak in the water in the mountains, roll around in the mud, or sleep on the ground in a tent. She was not pretentious. It was just. Seeing that Sue's father had only arranged for 2 rooms, she obviously had to share a room with Su Yuanhang. But she still didn't ask for anything else. After putting down the luggage, Sue's father went downstairs first and said, "Coxin, you guys take a rest first, the food is not ready yet, I'll go help your mom. If you have any questions, just ask Yuanhang, he is also familiar with the house." "Okay, uncle, thank you, uncle," Tang Coxin said politely. Although there was still some distance in the form of the title, Sue's father didn't mind. He understood that the two were not yet married, so the title was fine. After Sue's father left, Su Yuanhang showed Tang Coxin around the various rooms on the second floor. The children always looked at every corner with new eyes. In addition to the 2 bedrooms, there was another room that looked a bit dated, which was the living room. As for the other room with the closed door, Su Yuanhang explained to Tang Kurson, "That's my brother's room, but it's now being used as a utility room." Tang Kurson could tell that Su Yuanhang was in a bit of a bad mood, so she hesitated and said, "Yuanhang, I brought gifts for my aunt and uncle, they're in the suitcase, help me take them out." "Okay." Su Yuanhang also relaxed and said, "But what kind of gifts did you bring? How come I don't know?" Tang Kurson laughed and said, "I went shopping with Shan Shan when we had some free time. In fact, I wasn't sure what kind of gifts to get. Then I listened to my parents' opinions and bought them birds' nests and some accessories each." Su Yuanhang was moved inside. Before, he was just going to buy some fruit in town as a gift, but he didn't expect Tang Kurson to secretly bring gifts. When he took it out, the beautifully packaged bird's nest looked very valuable. Then there was the jewelry box, which opened to reveal a delicate bracelet. Judging by the color and purity, it seemed to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. As for Sue's father, Tang Kurson had prepared Maotai, explaining, "I heard you say before that your uncle likes to drink, so I didn't know what to get him. Your hometown is abundant in tea, so I didn't think it was appropriate to prepare tea again. In addition to the Maotai, there are ginseng slices, and this nutritional supplement, which can be used by your aunt and uncle to brew in water at ordinary times. Kurson, you have spent a lot." Su Yuanhang was touched, however, and said, "Thank you for thinking of everything. These gifts are worth a lot of money, and although he could afford them, Tang Kurson had really put her heart into it." Tang Kurson smiled happily and said, "It's nothing. Compared to what you have given me, I still feel that it's not enough." "How is it not enough?" Su Yuanhang laughed, "With your thinking, then when I go to meet my aunt and uncle, do I have to prepare a suitcase full of gifts?" Tang Kurson was amused. "Yuanhang, my parents said that you just having to show up is enough, they don't lack anything else." "That's right, my parents just want us to bring someone back." Su Yuanhang laughed, "But I understand your intentions, you can give them to them yourself later." "You come with me." Tang Coxin still felt a little awkward and said, "I don't know what to say on my own." At this time, Tang Coxin was no different from an ordinary person, and she was nervous when she met her in-laws. At that time, the cute kids did not feel this pressure. They were playing in the room, saying, "Daddy, Mummy, our room is so comfortable to sleep in." "As long as you like it," Su Yuanhang laughed. "Now let's pack the luggage first, and then go downstairs for dinner in a while." Yes, I'm hungry, Daddy. I just saw that Grandma and Grandpa have stewed big pig's trotters for us, I'm so hungry. And chicken feet too." Seeing that the 2 little gluttonous cats couldn't wait any longer, Su Yuanhang quickly unpacked the luggage and hung it up together with Tang Kurson. Before long, Sue's father's voice came over the intercom, "Yuanhang, bring Kurson and the kids down to eat." "Yes, Dad." Su Yuanhang responded. After that, he took the family downstairs. The cute kids ran quickly, and Su Yuanhang shouted after them, "You guys slow down. Ha, Daddy, hurry up and catch up with us. Grandma and Grandpa, it's time to eat." They are affectionate towards everyone, and at this time, they called out affectionately. It melted the hearts of Sue's parents. "Oh, my little treasures, you've all grown up so much. Dear children, I don't know what you like to eat, so try it all, and if you don't like it, just tell me and I'll make something else." "We like it all, Grandma. What a big chicken claw, I want to eat it." Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen then walked over and said, "Parents, our children aren't picky eaters, they'll salivate at the mere mention of delicious food." "That's good, let's serve it." Su's mother looked at Tang Kuxian, her natural elegance and fair complexion like that of a celestial, and couldn't help but smile politely, saying, "Kuxian, I haven't made anything delicious, so if you don't like it, just tell Yuanhang and he'll make it again for you." At this, Tang Kuxian, who was carrying a gift box in her hands, laughed, saying, "Auntie, don't be so polite. Yuanhang said that your cooking is even better than his, and I've been eating his meals for the past few days, so yours must be delicious." "That's good, come and sit down and eat." Amidst the greetings, Tang Kuxian picked up the gift box again and handed it to Su's parents, saying, "Uncle and Aunt, I came in a hurry this time and didn't have time to choose a proper gift, so I just brought you both some gifts. I hope you will accept them." Su's parents were extremely happy. "Kuxian, we are very happy that you and the babies are back, so why did you go to such trouble?" After Su's parents received the gifts, they put them aside for the time being, saying, "You must not spend money recklessly in the future. You work hard outside to earn money, and you also have to raise the children. Your uncle and auntie's family has everything they need, and we just hope that you two can get along well and that the children are healthy." Su Yuanhang spoke up for Su Yuanhang on the side, saying, "Mom and Dad, this is what Kersen wanted. Please open it and see if you like it." "Okay, let's see." Su Yuanhang's parents were still extremely happy. With Tang Kuxian's help, they opened the gift box and began to introduce the contents. "Auntie, this is bird's nest. You can drink it normally to help promote sleep and beautify the skin, but don't drink it when you have a cold. And these bracelets, I bought them for you based on my mother's model. Wearing them can promote blood circulation, soften skin cells, and improve metabolism." Tang Kersen also described it in a positive light. "On the other hand, this jade bracelet can also lower blood pressure. You usually pick tea leaves on the mountain, and it can also help you beat the heat. Now let me try it on you." For Su Mu, both the bird's nest and the bracelet were very valuable. She was flattered and said, "Kuxian, why did you go to so much trouble? I appreciate your thoughtfulness, but I can't accept the bracelet." "Mom, please accept it." Su Yuanhang, however, explained, "In a couple of days, I'll also be visiting Xian's parents. If you don't accept it now, what will they think of me when I go?" "Yes, Auntie and Uncle, this is a token of my appreciation, it's not valuable," explained Tang Kuxian. Extremely happy, Su's mother held out her hand and put it on. The bracelet was just the right size. Seeing how much she loved it, Su's mother beamed and said, "I wouldn't dare wear it when I go to the mountains. If I bumped into something and broke it, that would be bad. Just keep wearing it." Su Yuanhang saw Tang Kersen's pleading eyes and smiled at Su's mother, saying, "If it breaks, Kersen and I will buy you another one." "Yes, Auntie, our income is quite good now, so if you like it, we'll buy it for you," Tang Kersen said with a faint smile on her face. "Thank you, Kuxian," Mrs. Su said, her eyes welling up with tears. Later, Tang Kuxian opened the gift box again and said to Mr. Su, "Uncle, I asked Yuanhang and he said you like to drink, so this bottle of Maotai is for you. And these ginseng slices can be soaked in water and drunk normally, which is good for nourishing the blood, strengthening the body and immunity. If you feel weak, you can drink it." Su's father was more straightforward. He took it and said with a smile, "Thank you, Kuxian, for choosing such a thoughtful gift for us. Your uncle and aunt don't know what to give you." With that, he took out the red envelopes he had prepared. There wasn't anything of value in the countryside, so he and your aunt each wrapped a red envelope and wanted to give it to the babies. Tang Kuxian did not refuse, but looked at the red envelopes and said to the cute babies, "Dabao Xiaobao, Grandpa and Grandma are giving you red envelopes, thank you Grandpa and Grandma." "Grandpa and Grandma, thank you. Wow, a big red envelope. Grandpa and Grandma, we've also prepared gifts for you." The adorable children's laughter was crisp and clear. After receiving the red envelopes, they added a sentence that filled everyone with anticipation. Even Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen didn't know what gifts the adorable children were going to give. At this point, Mr. and Mrs. Su also beamed with smiles. They saw the adorable children run up to them, then tiptoe up to them, and give each of them a kiss on the cheek, grinning and saying, "Grandparents, we have a kiss for you, we love you." As they spoke, they also made a heart-shaped gesture. Although Mr. and Mrs. Su didn't understand the meaning, the kiss was enough to make them happy for days. "Oh, my dear children, you have melted the hearts of your grandparents." Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen smiled at each other, feeling that this gift from their children was even more meaningful. It was only at this time that they began to sit down and enjoy their meal. The children's bowls were filled with food that Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen had carefully selected. There were pig's trotters, chicken feet, and various kinds of fish. Su Yuanhang laughed as he watched. Mom and Dad, don't just keep on loading their bowls. Eat too. Yes, Auntie and Uncle, you eat quickly, the kids will load their own bowls if they want to eat. As soon as the words fell, Tang Kersen saw that her bowl was also visibly piling up. Eat quickly, all this is for you, Su Yuanhang's mother said with a smile. Grandma, your cooking is as delicious as Baba's. Grandma, your chicken feet are delicious, you and Grandpa eat them too. Su Yuanhang knew his parents' enthusiasm, so he said to Tang Kersen, eat, it'll get cold if you don't eat it. This meal also gradually relieved Tang Kersen's nervousness. She was grateful for Su's parents' enthusiasm and their love for her and the Menghua kids. Moreover, Su's mother's cooking was also very good, and she ate it with relish. After finishing the food in the bowl, Su Yuanhang also knew that this was her limit, so she asked Su's parents not to serve any more food. However, the children had bigger appetites and were eating with gusto. After eating for a while, the family started chatting. Kersen, stay for a few more days this time, so Yuanhang can take you and the kids out for a proper tour. Yes, Yuanhang, our village has a nice view, and I'll take them for a walk in a bit to get them familiar with the surroundings. Su Yuanhang looked at Tang Kersen's dignified appearance and laughed. Well, I will take them around. After a pause, he added, but Dad, I think the village has changed a lot in the past 2 years. How have the tea plants been growing recently? When Su Yuanhang mentioned it, Su's father's face didn't look good. He said, nowadays, every household grows tea, and it seems that the market in the village has indeed improved. But recently, our family's tea has been slow to sell quite a bit. Chapter 86, Grudges with the Village Chief. Before Su Yuanhang could say anything, the system's prompt sounded in his head, ding. The host's father is currently experiencing a tea sales crisis. Please assist in resolving it and you will be rewarded handsomely. In fact, even if the system did not issue a task, Su Yuanhang would personally solve the family's troubles. He asked, Dad, why is it unsaleable? Tang Kersen also became serious, looking at Su's mother with a worried expression on her face, while Su's father took out a cigarette and said with a troubled heart, it's nothing, we can solve it. But Su's mother was anxious. Old man, what can you solve? Even your nephew can't do anything, and now everyone is panicking. You're just a woman, so keep quiet. Su's father didn't want to add to Su Yuanhang's troubles, and since Tang Kersen was still there, he frowned and said, Son, don't worry about this, we'll handle it. On the ride home, Su Yuanhang had also asked his cousin. They were all family, so they all cooperated, but he hadn't heard him mention it. Perhaps it was because Tang Kersen was inconvenient, or perhaps he didn't want to put pressure on himself. The Su family had always been relatively harmonious, with no internal conflicts, and now they could only think of external factors. What about the other families? Su Yuanhang asked, how is their tea sales? This is also the time when the tea is harvested and sold. If it is slow-moving, then all the hard work will have been for nothing. In previous years, wholesalers would come to the door to buy it, so this shouldn't happen. Su's father didn't want to say more, but Su's mother was about to speak. Tang Kersen saw the two of them looking worried, so she also spoke up, Uncle and Aunt, now that Yuanhang is back, you can tell us your difficulties. If we can help, we will. Grandpa and Grandma, your father and mother are amazing, they are superheroes who can do anything. Although the children didn't know what they were talking about, they could tell that the elderly were in trouble, so they followed suit and smiled. Su Yuanhang patted the children's heads and laughed, Mom and Dad, just tell us honestly. Old man, if you don't tell me, I will. Su Yuanyang's mother was so anxious that she was about to lose her temper and said, Son, wholesalers have already been knocking on the doors of other families to negotiate prices, and they have all been booked. We are the only ones left, along with your cousin's family. This year, we have planted tea on 30 acres of land with your cousin, and it is estimated that tens of thousands of caddies will be left in our hands. Su Yuanyang's mother continued, we have invested more than 300,000 yuan in the cost, and your father has hurt his back because of it, and he is not as agile as before. This was the first time Su Yuanhang had heard Su Mu mention Su's father's health. In the past, whenever he called to ask about their health, they always said they were fine. Now Su Yuanhang felt bad when he heard it, and Tang Kersen wasn't much better. She glanced at Su Yuanhang and said, Auntie and Uncle, do you mean that the wholesalers don't want to buy our tea because of the quality? No. Seeing that both his parents had reached the same conclusion, Su's father stubbed out his cigarette and said, it's the village chief who's behind this. I knew it. Su Yuanhang's expression turned cold. Village chief? Tang Kurson had never lived in the countryside, so she wasn't familiar with the interpersonal relationships in the village, but she knew that the village chief was in charge. As long as there are people, there are organizations. So she looked at Su Yuanhang and thought, Auntie and Uncle, is the village chief causing trouble? Kuxin, the village chief has been targeting our family for years. Su Yuanhang said, in the village, our family is not considered wealthy, and in the early years, my father was cheated out of hundreds of thousands of dollars by a friend, so it was even more difficult. Yuanhang, why are you bringing this up? Su's father said with a bad look on his face. This was the darkest moment of his life, and he didn't want Su Yuanhang to talk about it in front of Tang Kurson. It wasn't a matter of face, but he was worried that once Tang Kurson knew about the family's situation, she would look down on them. But since Su Yuanhang had already said so much, Tang Kurson naturally understood what had happened. Over the years, there had been many cases of fraud like this, and even some big stars in her circle or famous investors had been scammed. It's just that they promise high profits, but they target your capital. Su Yuanhang didn't continue, but continued, the village chief saw that our family had no connections and no money, so he bullied us. This year, the village chief wanted us to pay 10,000 yuan in management fees, but your father insisted on not taking it, so we joined forces with others to squeeze our family. Su's mother followed up, when wholesalers come to the door, it is the village chief who entertains them, so they say bad things about us behind our backs. He has a general idea of the situation. As for the village chief's corruption, because he has connections, he has been able to embezzle a lot of money over the years and has been able to get away with it. Su Yuanhang still remembers that a family in the village was dissatisfied with the village chief's actions and reported it to the relevant department, but it ended up costing 200,000 yuan and it all went to waste in the end. After all, in terms of status and connections, the village chief has more means than the villagers. So over the years, the village chief may still appear to be living in an old house from the past, but he has occupied a lot of land. His sons all drive Mercedes-Benzes and have bought several luxury homes in the city and outside the province. Are they saying that there is something wrong with the quality of our tea and that it is best not to buy it? Su Yuanhang guessed. But Su's father shook his head and said, that's not it. They are deliberately undercutting our prices, and we can't even get back our cost price. Su's father continued, naturally, we did not compromise with your cousin. Now your cousin has personally gone out to find wholesalers, but all have been in vain. This is all the village chief's doing. Su's mother angrily said, no wholesaler dares to offend him. No one dares to offend him? Su Yuanhang's eyes hardened. Parents, don't worry, we will take care of the tea sales this time. Tang Kurson thought for a moment and said, Uncle and Aunt, actually I have an idea, I don't know if it is feasible. Su Yuanhang glanced at Tang Kurson and felt that his thoughts coincided with hers. Kuxin, are you planning to sell our tea through a live webcast? Su Yuanhang laughed. Yes. Tang Kurson laughed lightly, Uncle and Aunt, I can help you sell the tea. Su Yuanhang and Su Yuanfang were full of gratitude, saying, Kuxin, you are a guest, and you are still making us worry about your family. Uncle and Aunt, don't be polite. Tang Kuxin looked at Su Yuanhang. Although their relationship had not been revealed, she still gave a faint smile and said, Yuanhang has also helped me solve a lot of problems recently. I have always hoped that I can also help him and you. Kuxin, you want to personally take the goods? Su Yuanhang had planned to rely on his own connections and popularity to solve his parents' problems, but he never expected Tang Kuxin to take the initiative to speak up, which was like adding wings to a tiger. With Tang Kuxin's popularity and traffic, not to mention 10,000 caddies of tea, even 100,000 caddies could be snatched up by her fans. Yuanhang, you just negotiate the price of the tea with your aunt and uncle, and I'll use my account to start a live broadcast. Tang Kuxin laughed. In fact, the two of them have the money to buy all the tea or give the Su parents the money. But this will not really solve the worries of the two elderly people. No problem, leave it to me. Su Yuanhang and Tang Kurson understood each other. Then, after smiling at each other, Su Yuanhang said to Su's parents, Parents, leave the tea matter to us. I'll ask my cousin to come over and discuss it in a bit. Besides, the village chief has been ruling the village with an iron fist for decades, and it's about time we settled old scores. He would never forget when the village chief brought some villagers to their door and bullied the two of them. In particular, when he returned from high school for the summer vacation, he happened to witness this incident. He saw the other party trying to demolish his family's house, so he snatched the hammer away from them. Then he was questioned by the village chief, Who are you? What do you want? He still remembers those words to this day. Su Yuanhang naturally replied firmly, I am the son of Su Yuanguo from the Su family. If you are capable, tear down my house today. After that, with the persuasion of his relatives, the farce was suppressed. However, he had also made enemies with the village chief's family. As the old saying goes, a hemp rope breaks at the thinnest point, and misfortune finds the miserable. But now it's different. With the help of the system, Su Yuanhang has met many people in business and other industries, both in terms of assets and connections. Yuanhang, is live streaming feasible? Su Yuanhan's parents have spent most of their lives in the mountains and don't know much about the prevailing online model. Parents, everyone is doing live streaming to sell goods these days, and some people are even streaming to help farmers, so don't worry. Su Yuanhang laughed, and there's also the superstar, Tang Kurson, who has millions of fans, so she can easily buy our 10,000 gene of tea. Yes, auntie and uncle, leave the tea to us. Tang Kurson was also happy that she could help her future in-laws. Su's parents saw that the two weren't just trying to reassure them, and their worried expressions finally relaxed. You just rest at home. Su Yuanhang laughed and said, all you need to do is count the tea production, set the price and check the quality. The quality of our tea is the best in the village. Su Yuanhan's father assured him, your mother and I get up early every morning to take good care of every tea plant. Our tea is better than anyone else's in the village. And our production is higher than everyone else's. Su's mother, however, took Tang Kurson's hand and explained, Kurson, what your uncle said is true. Tomorrow, we'll take you to the terraced fields to see the tea we grow ourselves. It was already 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and it would soon get dark, so it wasn't a good time to go see the tea. Naturally, Tang Kurson believed what Su's parents said, and she laughed, Auntie, okay, we'll go see tomorrow. Then I'll call my cousin over to discuss it. Su Yuanhang said. At this point, dinner was almost over, and Tang Kurson immediately took out her phone and said, I'll let Shan Shan know and ask her to arrange for me to go live. Xin, thank you. Su Yuanhang said. Su's parents also said gratefully, Xin, thank you so much. We wanted you to come to our home to have a good time and eat well, and we also asked you to help us solve the tea problem. Your uncle and aunt really feel bad about it. But Tang Xin smiled slightly and said, Uncle and aunt, you are the grandparents of our children, so we are family, so don't be polite with me. These words instantly warmed the two elderly people. Su Yuanhang also looked at Tang Xin with a smile on his face, and everything was said without words. The several people sat on the chairs in the living room, each holding their mobile phones and operating them. After Su Yuanhang had called his cousin, he said to him, Cousin, I've heard from my parents about the tea matter, and now I've come up with a solution. If it's convenient for you, come over to my house. After saying that, Su Yuanhang hung up the phone and waited for his cousin to come over. As for Tang Kurson, she had also contacted Lin Shanshan and explained the situation. As an agent, Lin Shanshan naturally usually manages the affairs of fan operations. The fan support group came in handy at this time. With Tang Kurson's fan base, it was soon a matter of one action leading to another. Next, they began discussing matters related to the live broadcast. As a shareholder of Douyin, Su Yuanhang naturally also passed on the relevant matters and sold tea himself. Without violating and meeting certain conditions and complying with relevant regulations, Su Yuanhang was able to bring his value into full play. In addition, a message was also sent in the Tangren Group's senior management group, if anyone knows the contact information of the Ludao Supervision Commission, please let me know. At this time, Su Yuanhan's personal connections came into play. Soon, the senior management spoke in the group, Chairman Su, what's going on? Is the Shanghai Municipal Supervision Commission okay? Chairman, I know someone from the Furong Procuratorate, I'll ask my friend. Since Su Yuanhan's business development did not touch Ludao City, at this time, the senior management used their personal connections to help him solve his problems. Thank you all. Su Yuanhang also replied politely. At this time, on the other side, Tang Kurson said to Su Yuanhang, Yuanhang, I've taken care of this side. Shan Shan notified the fan support group. May I ask when it would be convenient for you to go live tomorrow? Su Yuanhang then looked at his parents and said, Mom and Dad, can we harvest all of our tea leaves now? Of course we can. They both answered in unison. Now that your cousin has processed them into semi-finished products, we just need to wait for the wholesaler to come and buy them. That's fine. Su Yuanhang knew that his cousin had been in the tea business for many years and had more experience in this area than he did, so he replied to Tang Kurson, for the live broadcast time, we'll have to wait for my cousin to come over and discuss it together. Okay, Tang Kurson nodded, I'm available anytime. Su Yuanhang was very grateful that Tang Kersen could lower herself to broadcast a live sale of tea for his parents. In fact, top-tier stars like them are disdainful of live streaming to promote products. It would compromise their status and damage their reputation with their fans. Although Su Yuanhang had seen many celebrities, including some top stars, start live streaming to promote products, top stars like Tang Kersen were rare. Before long, cousin arrived in his own car. He parked on the roadside at the entrance, turned off the engine, and then ran non-stop into the building. Seeing that Su Yuanhang's family was all there, he was excited and said, "Cousin, have your aunt and uncle already told you everything?" "Yes." After Su Yuanhang invited the other person to take a seat, he continued, "Kuxin has decided to help us sell the tea by live streaming and promoting the product." Cousin looked at Tang Kuxin. Perhaps Su Yuanhang's parents did not know about Tang Kuxin's ability to promote products, but cousin understood very well. With Tang Kuxin's popularity, it would be a breeze to sell the tea if she was willing. Therefore, my cousin's face showed gratitude as he said, "Cousin, I really don't know how to thank you." "Cousin, don't mention it, this is what I should do." Tang Kersen smiled happily. Su Yuanhang continued, "Cousin, what is the current total production of our tea and what is the quality like? What price are you going to set?" He wanted to discuss it with his cousin before he could work with Tang Kersen. The output is about 15,000 to 20,000 caddies. My cousin looked at Su's parents and said, "The quality and output of our tea this year are very high, but because of the interference of that old bastard, the village chief, we are now stuck with unsold tea. I have personally gone to beg the wholesalers for the tea, and even offered a lower price than the market price, but no one wants to buy it." At this point, my cousin added, "Oh yes, I brought Ti Guanyin and Huang Jingguang with me, which come in 3 qualities, so you and your wife can try them." Normally, the tea leaves are processed in a factory and then sold as semi-finished products to wholesalers, which greatly reduces the cost. Some people sell the tea directly to wholesalers without processing it, but the price will be very low. As for Su's parents, they only drink tea dregs, which is why Su Yuanhang didn't let them take out the tea to taste it. That would mislead pricing and quality. The cousin said, and immediately ran out of the car, bringing in all the specially prepared tea. When the box was opened, a burst of tea fragrance immediately filled the entire room. Tang Kersen doesn't drink much tea, so she doesn't know how to tell the quality of tea. Su Yuanhang, on the other hand, had been exposed to tea in his youth and knew how to distinguish good tea from bad. There are 5 main criteria. A good tea is usually neat, compact, and curled, and the color of the tea leaves is bright. Other factors include shape, tenderness, color, evenness, broken pieces, and purity. Another aspect is the aroma. A good tea should have a strong aroma. A good tea aroma is pure and refined, and makes people feel relaxed and happy. The tea that is brewed also depends on whether the soup color is clear and bright, preferably light green or yellow-green, which is also an important indicator for judging the quality of the tea. Another aspect is whether the taste of the tea is refreshing, without a bitter or sour feeling. Finally, it is the leaf bottom. The bottom of the brewed tea should look even and soft, with a bright color and no broken pieces or impurities. While his cousin brewed the tea, Su Yuanhang also explained to Tang Kersen the difference between good tea and bad tea. Cousin-in-law, you try it." The cousin poured a cup for everyone, including the cute kids. Although the cute kids didn't know how to appreciate tea, drinking it after a meal had the effect of clearing the liver and improving eyesight. Of course, it shouldn't be drunk in large quantities, just a small cup. Tang Kersen took a sip of the tea after Su Yuanhang's explanation, and instantly felt it had a refreshing effect. In addition, the tea was not bitter, but instead had a strong, fragrant aroma. The taste maintained the original aroma of the tea, and the color was bright, leaving a lasting impression. "Cousin, this tea is delicious," Tang Kersen said bluntly. Cousin nodded and smiled. "This is the tea we grew ourselves, the top grade, of course, there are also medium and lower grades, you should try some too." Su Yuanhang handed Tang Kersen 2 other types of tea of different qualities. She did feel a difference after drinking them. The lower grade tea was astringent and the tea was cloudy, not as bright and clear as before. It's true, the quality of each type of tea is different. Tang Kersen commented. Without waiting for a response from his cousin, Su Yuanhang laughed and said, "Cousin, how do you want to price the tea?" My cousin has more experience with this than my parents, so he explained, if it's a wholesaler coming to buy, the price is actually the same. But if it's for live sales, there are roughly 3 price ranges. I'm not sure I can explain the pricing very well. My cousin pondered. "What do you think, cousin?" My parents were sitting nearby listening to their conversation, but they didn't understand this aspect of it, so they didn't say anything. I don't really know about prices either. You're the expert, you call the shots. Su Yuan Hang laughed. How about pricing Tiguanyin at 350 yuan per caddy? After thinking for a moment, my cousin said, as for the other two grades of tea, they will be priced at 178 and 25 yuan per caddy. After saying this, he looked at Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen with a look of expectation and hesitation. Su Yuanhang was currently checking the price of Tiguanyin online and found that the price of Huangjinga tea would also be lower than that of Tiguanyin. Looking at his cousin's offer, which was similar to the prices quoted by tea merchants on the internet, he thought for a moment and said, "Can the price be lowered a bit more?" Of course it can. My cousin thought, considering that it is all the cousin's wife's fans who will be buying, we can offer the biggest discount. Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen looked at each other, and then Tang Kersen said, "I don't really understand this, so let Yuanhang set the price." At this time, Su Yuanhang did not lack these several 100,000 yuan at all. The main purpose was to solve the problem of unsaleable tea for his parents and his cousin. Moreover, in order not to disappoint Tang Kersen's fans, and with the experience gained from the marketing skills he had acquired, Su Yuanhang asked his cousin, "Cousin, do you know the respective production volumes of these three types of tea?" Pricing according to production volume can ensure that it will bring benefits to the fans and not cause you to lose money. You can price according to this method, which I think is the most prudent approach. Chapter 87 The Rights of the Rich. I'll have to go back and estimate this. Cousin explained, also, there shouldn't be much premium tea, but rather medium tea will account for more than half. Okay, then I'll ask you to do the hard work of counting it out as soon as possible, and then send me the final quote after estimating it, and I'll coordinate with Kersen, so that tomorrow's live broadcast can also proceed smoothly. Su Yuanhang won't be in the village for long. 2 or 3 days at most. He needs to solve the problem of unsold tea as quickly as possible, and he also needs to bring the village chief down a peg. Okay, I'll go back and check the quality and production of the tea. I'll send you a message as soon as I have news. At this point, my cousin can be considered to have taken a pill that settles the mind. With Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen, the two bigwigs, he is not worried at all about the tea not selling. Now he just needed to think about how much money to make. After his cousin left, Su Yuanhang looked at Su's father, who now had a smile on his face, but saw that their hair had turned much grayer. Mom and Dad, after planting the tea this year, just enjoy your retirement at home. Su Yuanhang also got to the point, your son is very rich now, so if you want, just come back to the city with me. But Su Yuanyang's parents glanced at Tang Kersen and saw that she was nodding in agreement. They took Su Yuanyang's hand and said, "Uncle and Aunt, growing tea is too hard work, and your uncle has also been injured. Yuanyang is right, he and I both have the means to take care of you." Although their relationship was not made clear, Su Yuanyang's parents could tell from her words that she was willing to be their daughter-in-law. They were all very happy. While Sumu was still stroking Tang Kuexayan's little hand, and then looking at the cute children who had already fallen asleep on the sofa, she said with a face full of love, "Kuexayan, your uncle and I have lived in this village all our lives, and we have worked hard for most of our lives. It's really not easy for us to let ourselves relax. Besides, we are already used to village life, and we would not be used to living in the big city. So thank you for your intentions, we just want to continue living in the village." Su's father also explained, "Yuanhang, Kuexayan, we all know that you both want to be filial to us. As long as you have time to come home and visit often, we as parents will be very satisfied." Su Yuanhang also knows his parents' temperaments. They are more comfortable in the village environment. Of course, they have heard their hearts, but on the other hand, they don't want to interfere with their lives with Tang Kuexayan. After all, it is inevitable that there will be some barriers and inconveniences when young people live with their elders. Su Yuanhang looked at the house where he had lived for more than 20 years and made up his mind to renovate it. "Mom and Dad, since you have already made up your minds, I won't insist." Su Yuanhang also said decisively, "The main purpose of our return this time is to bring the babies to meet their grandparents, and on the other hand, we also want to help the family improve the living environment. Yuanhang, although you said before that you have made a lot of money, remember not to spend it recklessly, okay?" Su Yuanhan's father did not intend to rely on him to support them in their old age. After all, they are still under 60 and can still work. Although the older generation is conservative in their thinking, they are happy to work hard and reap the rewards of their own hands. "Your father is right, you and Kersen still have to take care of the babies, and they will need money for food, clothing, and housing." Mrs. Su followed up, "Your father and I don't need you to worry about us, but we hope that you can all be safe and healthy. Tang Kuxian also truly understood the simple and pure thoughts of Sue's parents, and she was very moved. Auntie and uncle, you too, be healthy and don't overwork. Tang Kuxian followed up. We will. Sue's mother smiled and said, Kuxian, it's getting late, the children are asleep, you've been on the road all day, and you've been busy with our matters until now, so go upstairs and wash up and get some rest. Su Yuanhang saw that there was only the issue of selling the tea left, and that the rest would have to wait until tomorrow, so he said to them, Mom and Dad, you should go to bed early too. We'll take the babies upstairs to bed first. Good. Sue's mother nodded, we've prepared toothbrushes and towels for you, all new, you can take them. Good. Good night, Auntie and Uncle. Tang Kurson said to Sue's parents as she picked up her baby. Good night to you too. After that, Su Yuanhang then went upstairs with Tang Kurson. The children were already asleep, so Su Yuanhang and Tang Kurson took them to their rooms and put them to bed. After returning to their own room, they were in the same room together for the first time. The atmosphere suddenly became ambiguous and awkward. You take the shower first, Tang Kurson and Su Yuanhang said in unison. Then they smiled at each other, and Su Yuanhang spoke first, you go first, I'll discuss things with my cousin. Okay. Tang Kurson didn't back down either, and began to take out her pajamas from her suitcase, then walked into the bathroom adjacent to the room, closed the door, and looked at her new environment. She discovered that Sue's mother had thoughtfully prepared toothbrushes, towels, and bath towels, which were hung on the wall. The colors were differentiated by one white and one pink. Although the environment was not comparable to a villa in a big city, Tang Kurson didn't mind at all. After fumbling around a bit, she took off her clothes and turned on the shower to rinse her hair and body. As for Su Yuanhang, he was holding his phone, and at this time, there was already news in the group of senior executives. Through their connections, he was actually able to push the contact information of the person in charge of Ludao to himself through the connections between the people. Although it was not from the Discipline Inspection Department, it was the person in charge of the Tongan jurisdiction area. Su Yuanhang immediately added the contact information, and the other party quickly approved it. He is a director-level person. After adding him, Su Yuanhang also added a note to the other person, Director Sui Song. After adding him, the other person took the initiative to send a message, Hello, Mr. Su. Hello, Director Su. Su Yuanhang also politely said, Director Su, you can just call me Xiao Su. Haha, Mr. Su, you're too polite. Director Su also quickly sent a message, I heard that you returned to Xiking Village, Tongan, but you didn't notify us. The two sides had never met before, but it was definitely a Tangren Group executive who had introduced himself to him, which was why the other party was so polite. Su Yuanhang, however, said directly, Director Su, I came back in a hurry this time, mainly to solve some things that have happened at home. Director Su, what happened at home? Director Su also took the initiative to ask, is there anything I can help you with? Seeing that the other party's intentions were very clear, Su Yuanhang also did not beat around the bush, Director Su, in fact, my parents have been struggling to sell the tea they grew. After some research, I think it may be related to the village chief's abuse of power. He only typed up to here and there was no further text. After sending it, he just had to wait for Director Su's response. After waiting for about 30 seconds, Director Su finally replied. Director Su, I will definitely actively investigate this matter based on your response. Su Yuanhang saw that the other party had no further comments and was also waiting for his own position. In the adult world, especially on issues that concern one's own interests, people will generally give themselves some leeway. He thought for a moment and said, Director Su, Tongan is under your jurisdiction. I remember that the transportation in several villages is not particularly convenient. This time, I have returned and I also want to contribute to my hometown, so I plan to build cement roads for those roads. Halfway through his sentence, Su Yuanhang stopped and left the rest unsaid, waiting for the other person's response. Director Su was immediately excited when he read it. This was a great opportunity for him to get promoted. Although Su Yuanhang called him Director Su, he was actually only an assistant. He had been in this position for about 5 years. Now that Su Yuanhang had given him this opportunity, he naturally wanted to seize it. Director Su, thank you so much. Don't worry, tomorrow I will arrange for the disciplinary inspection team to start investigating the village cadres of Xiking Village, and I will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation. Only then did Director Su agree readily. Su Yuanhang knew that the other party was a fox, and naturally would consider himself the final consideration when in a high position. I will donate 10 million yuan as the cost of repairing the road, and if that is not enough during the process, I will add more. Su Yuanhang also gave a clear bargaining chip to reassure the other party. Chairman Su, that is greatly appreciated. We will definitely let all the common people see your great achievements. Tomorrow, I will personally visit you at your home. I wonder if you have time, Chairman Su. Su Yuanhang immediately guessed the other person's thoughts. Seeing for himself was one thing, but the main thing was to immediately come up with the money and then go to the surrounding townships to do some publicity. This is a win-win situation for everyone. Of course, I came back this time to take care of family matters and to make a contribution to my hometown. Su Yuanhang's mouth curled up slightly and said, in addition, I also want to promote my hometown's tea well, and promote the development of tourism and tea. Director Su really cares about the world. It is also our pride to have such an outstanding figure like you in our hometown. Director Su also flattered him. Director Su, please let me know before you come tomorrow, so I can prepare to receive you properly. Su Yuanhang also said politely. Director Su was flattered, but Su Dong was being too polite. This is what I should be doing, so let's keep it simple. Okay, I'll listen to Director Su. Su Yuanhang also said very firmly. Then, Su Dong, I'll see you tomorrow. You get some rest early. The conversation between the two men ended there. But Su Yuanhang knew that the good days of the village chief were coming to an end. As soon as the discipline inspection team and Director Su arrived, the old dog would be dug up no matter how deeply it hid, and its old deeds would be revealed. Su Yuanhang found the senior executive who had given him his business card and sent him a message. Manager Chen, the matter has been resolved. I'll treat you to dinner when we get back to Furong. Soon, Manager Chen replied, Su Dong, it's good that it's been resolved. It was a piece of cake. Don't be polite with me. Then we'll get in touch when we get back to Furong. Tangren Group is in your hands now, thank you for your hard work. Su Yuanhang is not at all arrogant. Don't worry, Tangren Group is in our hands, there can't be any problems, haha. The other person was obviously in a very happy mood at the moment. After the chat ended, Su Yuanhang finally let out a sigh of relief. As he put the phone down and prepared to lie down for a rest, Tang Kersen happened to push the door open. Seeing Su Yuanhang looking a little tired, she said, wiping her hair, Yuanhang, you go take a shower too. Okay, Su Yuanhang nodded, then picked up the pajamas Tang Kersen had bought for him and walked into the bathroom. Tang Kersen, on the other hand, picked up her phone and sent a message to Lin Shanshan. Shanshan, have you finished the live streaming formalities? Xiang, it's all done, and the fan club is also looking forward to your live broadcast tomorrow. Lin Shanshan laughed, but Xiang, I've heard about everything. Can't we just give the money directly to the aunt and uncle? This is a public welfare live broadcast, so it's fine. Tang Kersen laughed, remember to discuss it with the fans, and don't blow the whistle. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Lin Shanshan laughed, let's use 1 million yuan for charity, and treat our fans to tea for free. This is a good thing for us, and it will help Su Yuanhang's parents, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You've worked hard. Tang Kersen said politely. Xiang Jia, this is no big deal. How did you feel when you went to Su Yuanhang's house today? What did Su's parents say? Lin Shanshan started to gossip. Tang Kersen looked at her message and couldn't help but smile. They are all doing well and getting along well with the kids. So they didn't talk about your marriage to Su Yuanhang? Lin Shanshan became curious. No, they didn't. Tang Kersen also regarded Lin Shanshan as her best friend, but I can tell that they all recognize me, which is enough. Sister Xin, do you want Mr. and Mrs. Su to bring up the marriage, or do you not want them to? Lin Shanshan suddenly sent this message again. Tang Kersen, however, felt that this sentence did not sound like something Lin Shanshan would ask. After all, when it comes to matters involving relationships, Lin Shanshan will only seek advice from Tang Kersen and will not take the initiative to ask anything. Unwittingly, Tang Kersen typed directly, Tang Renshin, are you bored out of your mind? On the other side, Lin Shanshan went to the bathroom to relieve herself, and her phone was left on the table. Tang Renshin read it and then secretly sent a message. But he didn't expect it to be immediately discovered by Tang Kersen, and he no longer hid it. Sister, how did you know it was me? I think you're itching for a beating. Tang Kersen laughed. Sis, I'm just concerned about you. Tang Renshin added, and I also deserve some credit for the fan club. At the beginning, my brother-in-law and I were buying food on the Bund in Shanghai, and we happened to meet your fans and added them. As soon as I heard that you were going to start a live broadcast, I immediately contacted them. Tang Kurson didn't know anything about this, and even Lin Shanshan just found out. Seeing that Tang Renxin had also gone to so much trouble on her behalf, she praised him, saying, "You deserve credit for this." "Hey, but sister, how are things with you and your brother-in-law? Do you want to marry him?" At this moment, Tang Renxin was concerned about Tang Kurson's big life event and was determined to pursue the matter to the end. Tang Kurson was also feeling uncertain at this moment and didn't know how to respond. "Why are you such a little brat asking so many questions? Stay out of adult business." Tang Kuxin replied ambiguously. Suddenly, no new message came for a long time. After a few minutes, Lin Shanshan's reply came, "Xinjia, I helped you beat Tang Renxin up, what else do you want to explain?" Tang Kuxin smiled at the corner of her mouth after reading it. "In fact, it's about the live broadcast, I don't know how to operate it, so I hope there won't be any mistakes tomorrow. Xiang, you just need to show up, and we'll take care of the rest." Lin Shanshan said with a smile, "It's just like any other celebrity anchor. You just stand there in the broadcast room, sit down in the main seat, and don't say a word, and the fans will place their orders. Besides, this is a free broadcast, and the fans can get their money back from us, so even if there's a mistake, we can fix it." Lin Shanshan was relieved. "That's good, I'll leave it to you tomorrow." Tang Kurson was still a little nervous. This was her first live broadcast, and she hoped to give back to her fans in the best condition. Of course, after the scandal, this was also the first time she had directly faced her fans. After Su Yuanhang came out of the bathroom, Tang Kurson had already finished discussing tomorrow's matters. Seeing her sitting on the balcony with her hair still damp, Su Yuanhang hung the towel around his neck, then found a jacket he was wearing and went out, laughing, "Koxin, although the climate here in Ludao is warmer, it can get quite cold at night, so put this on." Tang Kuxin was a little moved, put on his jacket, and smiled back, "Yuanhang, I just sent a message to Shan Shan, and everything is ready for the live broadcast tomorrow. I have to thank you all this time." Su Yuanhang was grateful. "Don't be polite with me, you've helped me a lot." Tang Kurson brushed the long hair by her ear behind her ear, and then laughed, "But when your cousin sends you the tea data later, remember to send me a copy too." "Let me take a look." Su Yuanhang turned around and walked towards the bed, where his phone was. At this time, Tang Kurson looked at the pajamas on Su Yuanhang. For his height, the size would be loose, but it fit perfectly. In this way, she could continue to buy other clothes for Su Yuanhang according to this size in the future. Su Yuanhang came over with his phone and found that there was an unanswered call, but Tang Kurson didn't hear it because of the mute function. As for the several messages, he opened them and glanced at them. They were from his cousin. They were detailed data about tea production. He went to the balcony and first called his cousin. After connecting, Su Yuanhang asked, "Cousin, have you organized the production data?" "Yes, I sent it to you." Cousin replied, "Yuanhang, we sell the tea in half caddy and 1 caddy units. Regarding the price, considering that all of them are your wife's fans, we have made the greatest concessions in checks in terms of price and quality so that they will be satisfied. So you can rest assured and broadcast live. In addition, we will also split the profits with you." My cousin said gratefully, "Cousin, don't refuse, after all, if it weren't for you, we would have to dump all of our tea in the second half of the year." Su Yuanhang knew that tea could be picked 4 times a year, and the labor costs were still very high. In addition, in order to make a little more profit, my cousin had invested a lot of money in the processing plant in the early stages, so that he could sell the semi-finished products directly. With his business acumen, he naturally thought of selling the tea by live streaming, but since he had no connections or popularity, whenever he went live to sell the tea, he was lucky to get 2 or 3 orders a day. After all, the live streaming platform was already saturated, and many tea sellers were going live, so there was simply no room for him. Therefore, he understood very well that if it weren't for Su Yuanhang and Tang Kurson, he would probably go bankrupt in the second half of this year. "Cousin, I know that you have been helping my parents for all these years, so I am truly grateful." Su Yuanhang smiled and said, "Therefore, I am also obliged to help you with this problem of unsold tea. After all, you have helped my family a lot, and it is time for me to repay you." "You brat, we are family, so there is no need to talk about repaying each other. If this continues in the future, I will be furious." Cousin laughed out loud. This was his nature, straightforward and uncomplicated. Even the 2,000 red envelopes he had given have not been collected yet. He has not even mentioned the current crisis, and if his mother hadn't told him herself, Su Yuanhang would still be in the dark. Okay, then you get some rest early, and I'll discuss the live broadcast time with QXIN and send you a message again. Su Yuan Hang said to him. Okay, you too. My cousin laughed and said, we'll see you tomorrow. Good night. After ending the phone call with his cousin, Su Yuanhang looked at Tang QXIN and said, XIN, I'll send you the information my cousin sent, and you can check it. The most important thing about live streaming is the sales share, to avoid a series of problems caused by placing too many orders and running out of products. Compensation is secondary, the most important thing is the crisis of trust. Okay. Tang Kurson responded, and then couldn't help but look at Su Yuanhang with a surprised gaze and asked, Yuanhang, what did you just call me? Su Yuanhan's expression also paused for a moment, and he almost blurted it out. He didn't understand why he had given Tang Kurson a nickname. Didn't I just call you QXIN? Su Yuanhang hastily covered up the past. You called me Shishin. Tang Kurson said very confidently. At this moment, Su Yuanhang suddenly realized that the reason for this was because the love charm had triggered an effect. It could make both parties gradually return to love in a subtle way, as the charm fermented. It seems so. Su Yuanhang also took the initiative to admit, Shishin, if you don't like me calling you that, I won't do it in the future. Tang QXIN suddenly blushed, but then said, I like it. Under the influence of the love potion, she blurted it out. At that moment, the emotions suppressed in her heart exploded out, no longer hidden. Su Yuanhang's face instantly broke into a smile, and he knew that his relationship with Tang QXIN had taken another step forward. Su Yuanhang called out again. Tang QXIN, like a little woman, softly answered with a hint of evasiveness in her eyes, Chapter 88, she is the only one for me in this life. The atmosphere between the two was a little ambiguous, and it looked to others like they were definitely in love. However, they didn't let the mood get to them for too long and returned to their usual serious selves. Shinshin, I'll send you my cousin's list, said Su Yuanhang, picking up his phone to send his cousin's information. Afterwards, he continued, Shinshin, I want to discuss something with you. What is it? Tang Kurson looked at the data and asked while looking back at the other person. It's about this time you're live streaming and selling products, and I want to give back to the people who buy the tea by paying for their shipping myself. Su Yuanhang considered the matter thoroughly, and in order to reduce the negative impact on Tang Kurson, he volunteered to pay millions of dollars to ship the tea for Tang Kurson for free. Tang Kurson looked at Su Yuanhang in surprise, not expecting the other person to think of the same thing as she did. Seeing her surprise, Su Yuanhang thought she had other ideas, so he continued to explain, in fact, the whole thing of carrying goods itself will have a certain negative impact on celebrities. Not to mention that you are still in the eye of the storm right now. Once the live broadcast is over, it will definitely be reported by many journalists and media outlets, and naturally there will be some black fans making wild speculations. Su Yuanhang laughed, so I just thought of giving away all the tea for free and I will pay for it. For him, $1,000,000 was just a small sum of money, no different from an ordinary person spending $1 or $10. He didn't want this money to affect the reputation that Tang Kurson had worked so hard to build up over the years. After all, Su Yuanhang could imagine how many pairs of eyes would be watching once Tang Kurson started the live broadcast. Tang Kurson had originally wanted to hide this from him, but now it seemed that she had no choice but to tell him the truth. Yuanhang, before this, I actually already had this planned. Su Yuanhang froze for a moment, then smiled at Tang Kurson. The two of them always reached an unspoken understanding, as they had last time. How can I spend your money? Su Yuanhang laughed, you've already unconditionally and for free helped my parents with their live streaming, and if I ask you to pay out of your own pocket, people will know and I'll be the one getting the blame. Puff. Tang Kurson couldn't help laughing out loud. It's not as serious as you say. It's definitely serious. Su Yuanhang explained, just think about it, a rich fiancé who has to rely on his fiancée for a living. If this were to come to light, wouldn't I be called a gigolo? Unwittingly, Tang Kurson looked at Su Yuanhang a few more times and said, that's not bad. Su Yuanhang rarely saw her joking. But there was no discussion about this matter. I'll pay for it, and that's final. Okay. Tang Kurson did not insist, after all, she knew Su Yuanhan's financial resources. After discussing this matter, Su Yuanhang said seriously, oh yes, Shinshin, there is something else I need to tell you. What? Tang Kurson became curious. Tomorrow, the director of Tongan district, Lu Dao, will visit us in the village in person. Su Yuanhang laughed, I think Director Su will be doing a live broadcast with you. Tang Kurson was surprised. She knew how important the director was, and the fact that Su Yuanhang had been able to persuade him to come showed that his abilities were even greater than she had imagined. Suddenly, Tang Kerson immediately thought of something, and while secretly guessing, she asked, Yuanhang, did the director suddenly come to our village because of the village chief? Seeing that his fiancée was so clever, Su Yuanhang smiled faintly and said, You're right. After I contacted Director Su, I told him about the situation in my hometown, and he also attached great importance to it and decided to come tomorrow to inspect the situation. Tang Kerson suddenly understood Su Yuanhang's intention. So what you mean is that Director Su may also come to help us broadcast and sell goods live to promote the agricultural products of our hometown after inspecting the situation? Bingo! Su Yuanhang snapped his fingers and said, if he assists, then this broadcast and sale of goods live will be safe. After all, if the senior management of the relevant department personally gets involved, the credibility will be greatly enhanced, and it will also help restore Tang Kerson's popularity. This is a positive thing that many broadcast and sale of goods hosts would never dare to think about. When you put it that way, it does sound like a good idea. Tang Kerson was overjoyed, and looking at Su Yuanhang, she smiled and said, then I'll have to work hard to perform well and avoid embarrassing your hometown. With your image, you'll only make an outstanding contribution to your hometown. Su Yuanhang laughed and said, I can already imagine the media reporting this event positively. Tang Kerson was also full of anticipation. I need to let Shan know so that she won't be caught off guard. Okay. Su Yuanhang saw that everything had been settled, so he took out a hairdryer from a drawer at home and found an electrical outlet to plug it in. He tried pressing the button again and found that it still worked, with hot air blowing out and making a noise. After Su Yuanhang had dried his hair, Tang Kerson was still communicating, so he turned off the power and said, Kerson, come over and dry your hair after you're done chatting. Okay, be right there. Tang Kuxian looked back at Su Yuanhang and replied. After that, she buried her head in sending a message to Lin Shanshan, don't tell the fans about this, after all, it's not certain whether Director Su is coming or not, just let's keep it between us. I understand, Sister Xin. Just as she finished reading the message, suddenly a hot wind blew from above her head, and she couldn't help but look up and see Su Yuanhang looking down at her condescendingly. Looking up from a low angle, she found that Su Yuanhang's appearance had no dead ends, and she was a little mesmerized. What are you looking at? Su Yuanhang grinned and said, You chat away, I'll blow dry your hair, otherwise you'll catch a cold easily at night. Tang Kerson didn't stop him, but instead a smile spread across her face, like a little girl, and she bowed her head again and got back to chatting with Lin Shanshan about serious matters. Su Yuanhang, on the other hand, was blowing Tang Kerson's hair carefully. His movements were very gentle, like a massage, and Tang Kerson really enjoyed it. After blowing for a while, and after Tang Kerson had finished talking about the important matters, she said to Su Yuanhang, it's done, it's almost dry. He followed suit and turned off the hairdryer, saying to Tang Kerson, your hair is very supple, how do you usually take care of it? Tang Kerson thought for a moment and said, it's natural. It seems so. Su Yuanhang could tell that Tang Kerson was half joking, and it was obvious that her inner reserve had eased slightly. She gave a slight smile and said, okay, it's getting late, we should go to bed early. Tang Kerson nodded, then looked at the big bed behind her, her eyes beginning to waver. Su Yuanhang could see her little mind game, so he gave a slight smile and said, you sleep in the bed, I'll sleep on the floor. Or, I'll go and sleep with the babies. Tang Kerson pointed to the door across the room. This was a rare opportunity to share the same bed, so how could Su Yuanhang let such a great opportunity slip by? The bed over there is smaller, and it's not very comfortable to squeeze in with the kids. Su Yuanhang laughed and said, I'll sleep on the floor, you go to bed and rest. I guess I'll have to get up early tomorrow, so I have some work to do. Tang Kerson also let go of her pride and said, okay then. Then, Su Yuanhang took out a cool mat from the closet in the room and spread it on the floor for the summer. He then took a quilt and spread it on top, and covered it with a thin quilt. This way, they would sleep more comfortably. Tang Kerson was already sitting on the bed, covered with a quilt, and said, Yuanhang, aren't you cold like this? No, this weather is just right. Su Yuanhang laughed and said, don't worry about me, just get some rest early. Good night, then. Tang Kerson said with some embarrassment. The two of them lay down, but neither of them felt sleepy. At this time, Su Yuanhang's phone suddenly rang. He saw that it was an unknown caller, but he didn't answer it right away. Instead, he looked at Tang Kerson, who was facing away from him, and saw that she wasn't moving, so he went quietly to the balcony. He also closed the balcony door behind him before answering the phone. Hello, who is this? Yuan Hang, it's me. A female voice came from across the way, with a hint of excitement. I heard you're home. But Su Yuan Hang still couldn't recognize the voice. Excuse me, what's your name? It's Ling Ling, don't you remember, Yuan Hang? Lin Lingling announced her identity. Yuan Hang, I'm downstairs in front of your house, I can see you, let's get together. It's not convenient. Su Yuan Hang finally remembered the other person at this time. She was the childish pest who followed him around, and he didn't escape from her shadow until university. Looking down through the balcony at this time, he saw a figure waving at him. She was shouting at the top of her voice. Su Yuan Hang, we were childhood sweethearts, and I have something to ask you. Lin Lingling, however, kept up her chase, saying, if it's inconvenient for you, I'll just ask my aunt and uncle. Su Yuan Hang was a little disgusted by Lin Lingling's uninvited presence, and as he didn't want to disturb his parents, he was prepared to talk things over with her face to face. Okay, just a moment, I'll be right down, Su Yuan Hang reluctantly agreed. Then he hung up the phone, walked from the balcony, and after looking at Tang Kersen as if she were asleep, he left the room quietly. However, Tang Kersen had not fallen asleep and had even heard Lin Lingling's shouts. When Su Yuan Hang went downstairs, it was dark and his parents had already gone to bed. He put on his pajamas and turned on a small lamp before going to the door and thinking for a moment, then opened the door. Immediately afterwards, he saw Lin Lingling standing in front of his door, dressed up to the nines. After not seeing her for a few years, Lin Lingling had blossomed like a water lily. She was wearing a long dress that looked very beautiful, as if she had deliberately dressed up for the occasion. There was a strong smell of perfume and cigarette smoke on her, and Su Yuan Hang could tell at a glance that Lin Lingling seemed to have had a carefree time over the years. Yuan Hang, you're still so handsome. Lin Lingling said with a smile. Looking at her big red lips and big wavy hair, Su Yuan Hang stopped Lin Lingling's movement of preparing to go in and said, let's talk outside if there's something going on. Hey, Yuan Hang, why don't you let me in? Lin Lingling said angrily, Uncle and Auntie have said that I am welcome to your home at any time. That was in the past. Su Yuan Hang said coldly, go ahead, what are you suddenly doing here? But Lin Lingling said with righteous indignation, Su Yuan Hang, we grew up together since childhood, and you could be said to be my childhood sweetheart. Why didn't you tell me when you came back? Su Yuan Hang suddenly heard Lin Lingling's thoughts. Unwittingly, he became even more indifferent. Why should I tell you? Besides, you and I are just classmates, not childhood sweethearts. Besides, if there's nothing else, go back, I need to rest. However, Lin Lingling suddenly grabbed Su Yuan Hang's hand and pouted, deliberately acting cute and saying, Yuan Hang, you've changed. Don't people change when they grow up? Su Yuan Hang laughed, and you, not sleeping at night and dressing so sexy, you've also changed a lot compared to before. It's not like I didn't come looking for you. Lin Lingling looked at Su Yuan Hang with ambiguous eyes and said, you haven't contacted me for all these years, don't you want to know what happened to me? Not interested. Su Yuan Hang didn't want to continue talking to the other person. It was getting late, so he just left. As he said this, he was about to close the door, but he saw Lin Lingling press the door shut and say, Yuan Hang, why do you always shut me out? Am I that bad? What do you want me to say? Su Yuan Hang said coldly, do I need to praise you for being pretty, charming, or whatever? I like you, and I've been waiting for you to come back. Can't you feel it? Lin Lingling said sincerely. If he hadn't heard her heart, Su Yuan Hang would have fallen for her. After graduating from high school, the two had completely lost contact. Now, almost 10 years had passed, and suddenly she appeared. Su Yuan Hang was also blunt, I'm sorry, I have a fiancé and 2 children. I didn't come back for anything else, just to visit my parents. Su Yuan Hang, don't think I don't watch the news. What's this nonsense about a fiancé? Isn't that just having an illegitimate daughter? What century is this? Do people still get married with a child on the way? Lin Lingling felt good about herself and said with disdain, if that's the case, then we were childhood sweethearts, and by rights, I should be your fiancé. Stop. Su Yuan Hang said with a cold face, Lin Lingling, before I get angry, hurry up and leave my house. We can still see each other in the future, maybe as friends, but for now, I advise you not to cause me trouble. This is not a reminder, but a warning. Lin Lingling became angry after hearing this. Uncle, Auntie, help, Yuan Hang is bullying me again. Upon hearing this, Su Yuan Hang's face instantly turned ugly, and he slammed the door shut, dragging Lin Lingling away. Su Yuan Hang, let go of me, I want my uncles and aunts to judge between us, I want to see if they like me or your fiancé. Lin Lingling started acting like a shrew, making a fuss. Su Yuanhang yelled directly, "Shut up! What, are you afraid of being heard by everyone?" Lin Lingling, however, became fearless. "Do you really think that everyone in the village doesn't know what you've done? Having a scandal with a female celebrity and getting pregnant before getting married." Lin Lingling shook off Su Yuanhang's arm and said cheekily, "What kind of relationship do you have? Or are you being supported by that woman?" Just as Su Yuanhang was about to slap her, a voice came from the doorway, "I'd love to support her, but I'm not qualified." Su Yuanhang turned sharply and saw Tang Kersen standing in the doorway, wearing a nightgown and draped in his own jacket. A cold wind blew, raising her long hair, and the moonlight cast a long shadow over her. Lin Lingling also noticed Tang Kersen's sudden appearance. She was taken by surprise and snubbed, but her eyes said something else. "Oh, so it's the big star. What's the matter, did I hit a sore spot?" Su Yuanhang suppressed his anger and whispered to Lin Lingling, "Don't think I don't know what you're trying to do. You're here at this hour, wanting me to pay you, right?" Lin Lingling's eyes flickered for a moment, and she didn't expect Su Yuanhang to guess what she was thinking. Tang Kersen walked slowly over, and after approaching Su Yuanhang, she took the initiative to take his hand, with a smile on her face, and said, "Sister, in TV dramas, people like you don't live past 3 episodes, you know? Xixin, let's go home." Su Yuanhang, however, softly said, "It's cold outside, don't catch a cold." The two of them looked like they were in love, and it made Lin Lingling feel jealous. She had just returned that day, and then she heard from the villagers that Su Yuanhang had returned with his fiancée. In addition, she learned from the news that Su Yuanhang had now become a billionaire, so she wanted to come over and get some benefits. After graduating from high school, Lin Lingling did not go to college, but instead hung out with guys. As a result, she became pregnant accidentally, but she hid it from her family and secretly had an abortion. Later, she was tricked by her boyfriend into going to a nightclub, where she started doing illegal things. At this time, she was still working as a prostitute and had affairs with an unknown number of men, so she also developed a drug addiction. She also owed high-interest loans and online loans, and her reputation was ruined. Out of desperation, she thought about coming back to ask her family for money. Tang Kersen didn't want to argue with such a person, after all, she didn't deserve it. But for some reason, she felt a little uncomfortable when she heard Lin Lingling constantly comparing herself to her. Yes, after Su Yuanhang went downstairs, she also followed him and hid in the stairwell to eavesdrop. When she heard Su Yuanhang defend her, she was especially moved. At this time, she saw Lin Lingling yelling and screaming again, so she hurriedly followed, but she heard her insulting her, so she spoke up decisively. Seeing that her goal had not been achieved, Lin Lingling naturally would not let go of Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen. She immediately stepped forward, grabbed Tang Kersen's hand, and shouted, "You scolded me, you bitch. What makes you qualified to scold me? Now you explain yourself." Tang Kersen was almost dragged to the ground, but Su Yuanhang caught her in time and then slapped her. "Let go of me." Su Yuanhang slapped the other person in the face, which made Tang Kersen come back. Su's parents came out of the main door, still dressed, and when they saw Su Yuanhang hitting Lin Lingling, their expressions changed immediately. Lu's father even came over directly to stop the fight, saying, "Yuanhang, stop it." Su Yuanhang was even more infuriated when he saw that his parents had been woken up by the noise. "Lin Lingling, let me tell you, there is no way you can take advantage of me based on our past relationship. Oh, uncle and auntie, look at Yuanhang, he hit me. I just wanted to get together with him, but I didn't expect him to get so angry." Lin Lingling began to use the trick of inflicting injury on herself. "Oh, uncle and auntie, it's all my fault, I shouldn't have come to see Yuanhang, I'm sorry." While apologizing, she didn't show any intention of leaving, but instead wanted to find a breakthrough with Su's parents. Su's father looked at Su Yuanhang with a serious face and said, "You take Kuxian home first, I'll handle this." Su's mother was also worried that Tang Kuxian would be affected, so she took her somewhat cold hand and rubbed it while saying, "Kuxian, let's go home, it's so cold outside, how can you wear such thin clothes?" At this moment, Tang Kuxian suddenly felt very warm in her heart, because the actions of Su's parents made her feel as if her own parents had treated her in the same way. She happily smiled and said, "Auntie, I'm not cold. That's not good enough. Let's go home and talk about it," Mrs. Su said with a face full of concern. Seeing that they were about to leave, Lin Lingling once again started to cry like crazy. "Tang Kersen, if you dare to leave, I'll give the police the video of Su Yuanhang hitting me." With that, she picked up the phone that she had secretly recorded. No one expected her to have such a move, and she caught Su Yuanhang and the others off guard. Tang Kersen knew that if this was exposed, the consequences would be very serious. Sue's parents also didn't expect Lin Lingling to be such a scheming girl. They both turned pale and said, "Lingling, what are you doing?" Yuan Hang didn't mean it. Uncle apologizes. Just delete the video. Lin Lingling was pleased with herself for having caught them in the act. She thought to herself, "Auntie and uncle, this won't do. My face is very precious. I've been beaten up like this. How am I going to get married in the future? So what do you want to do? Just name your terms." Su Yuanhang naturally knew the other party's intentions, and at this time, he defended his family and said, "My condition is..." Lin Lingling looked at Tang Kersen and continued to shed crocodile tears while saying, "Let Yuanhang marry me." No one expected Lin Lingling to be so calculating, and they were all shocked by her words. Pooh. Only Su Yuanhang laughed out loud. In Lin Lingling's puzzled eyes, he said, "Call the police." Tang Kersen and Su's parents were both anxious. If it was reported in the media that Su Yuanhang had been arrested for assault, it would deal a huge blow to his career. After all, this was a very sensitive matter. "Yuanhang, it's not your fault. You only hit that guy because of me." Tang Kersen went up to him, took Su Yuanhang's hand and anxiously said. However, Lin Lingling did not dare to call the police. After all, once things came to this, she would lose both her man and her money. "Auntie and uncle, do you also hope that Yuanhang will be taken away by the police for assault?" Lin Lingling continued to use Su's parents as a breakthrough point, sounding a warning that once they were in the police station, a blemish would be left on Yuanhang's life file. But as soon as the words fell, Su Yuanhang was about to speak up, but Su's father calmed down and said, "Lingling, in the past, we looked at the fact that you had an alcoholic father and were from a single-parent family, and we were willing to accept you. But I never thought that after so many years, you would turn out like this. Say, how much do you want to settle this matter quietly?" Su's mother also stepped forward and said, "Lingling, it's impossible for Yuanhang to marry you. After all, we have only recognized one daughter-in-law in our lives, and that is the one in front of me." Tang Kersen was directly moved to tears by Su's father and mother. Chapter 89 I won't even give it to you to feed to the dog. Lin Lingling spoke directly and with a big mouth. At a time when Tang Kersen wanted to face this female scoundrel together with Su Yuanhang, her words were a big shock. "1 million? Su's parents were also shocked. "Lingling, where are we going to find so much money for you?" "Lingling, if it's really not possible, you might as well call the police, or go for a medical evaluation of the injuries, and pay whatever compensation is due." Su's parents would not let her demand an arbitrary amount. Su Yuanhang, however, felt that the two elderly people should not be involved in this matter, so he told them, "Parents, I will handle this matter. You all go in and rest first. Yes, Auntie and Uncle, you are still wearing thin clothes, go in and rest. Don't worry about this matter." Tang Kersen reassured, "You have to trust Yuanhang, he knows what he is doing." "Lingling, 10,000 yuan, this is the most my uncle can give." However, Mr. and Mrs. Su wanted to continue negotiating and planned to settle the matter peacefully. 10,000 yuan, are you here to pay off a beggar?" Lin Lingling, however, sneered, "1 million, not a penny less." Mr. and Mrs. Su were both angry and finally let go. "Lingling, we can't make the decision, you talk to Yuanhang," they said, and accompanied by Tang Kersen, they were escorted into the house. Without the emotional card that Su's parents could play, Lin Lingling began to panic. But thinking that she had the video of Su Yuanhang beating her in her hands, she was full of confidence. "Su Yuanhang, you're not going to pay compensation, are you? Then I'll post the video online. Aren't you bringing the goods tomorrow? I'd like to see how you can bring your image." Su Yuanhang discovered that Lin Lingling had done a lot of research on him before coming this time. But he still laughed fearlessly. "Lin Lingling, do you think a video can ruin my reputation? Or do you all prefer to believe the words of a drug addict?" After Su Yuanhang revealed her secret, Lin Lingling suddenly looked nervous, but she still said stubbornly, "What are you talking about? Who's a drug addict?" Tang Kersen came over at this time and looked at Lin Lingling with sympathy, saying, "Your purpose for coming to see my fiancé this time is money, isn't it?" Having her intentions revealed, Lin Lingling's eyes darted away. "Tang Kersen, Su Yuanhang, and I have been childhood sweethearts since we were young. To put it bluntly, you are now the third party, stealing someone's husband and still so confident. Lin Lingling, I don't have anything to say to you, just call the police." Su Yuanhang didn't want to get tangled up with the other party anymore, and as it was disturbing everyone's rest, he spoke bluntly, "As for compensation, we'll go through the legal process, and as for the compensation you mentioned, forget it, I won't give you a penny." Saying this, he grabbed Tang Kerson's hand and walked towards the house, leaving behind another sentence, "I will cooperate with the investigation when the police arrive." Lin Lingling looked at the back of Su Yuanhang and Tang Kerson walking together, but she was full of resentment. "Su Yuanhang, I really didn't expect you to be this kind of person, you don't have any courage at all." After the person surnamed Wang hit a passerby, he compensated 2 million, and this is considered less than that. "Then go find Wang to sue for compensation," Su Yuanhang said without turning around. Tang Kerson, who was standing nearby, was amused, but she was still worried and whispered, "Su Yuanhang, are you sure you don't want to settle this privately? Are you going to throw away $1,000,000? Su Yuanhang snorted, "Don't worry, even if the police come, I'm not afraid." Seeing Su Yuanhang's confident expression, Tang Kerson knew that he knew what he was doing and stopped worrying. Lin Lingling, on the other hand, was getting worried as Su Yuanhang walked further and further away. "Su Yuanhang, 500,000 yuan. That's my bottom line. Keep dreaming." After Su Yuanhang had seen Tang Kerson into the house, he stood at the entrance, one hand against the door, looking at the other person without any mercy. If Lin Lingling really did encounter something and needed his help, as fellow villagers and classmates for so many years, he might still lend a hand. But the other person was not careful with themselves, and they had become an addict, playing mind games to extort money from him. Even if he was sympathetic, Su Yuanhang would never help the other person. This was the path she had chosen, and she had to bear any consequences herself. 100,000. Just as Su Yuanhang was about to close the door, Lin Lingling ran up directly and shouted. Bang! Su Yuanhang rudely slammed the door shut, leaving Lin Lingling empty-handed. However, this woman is not one to give up so easily. She began to desperately pound on Su Yuanhang's door, shouting at the top of her lungs. She was not afraid of disturbing the neighbors. "Su Yuanhang, you bastard, you hit someone and then hide like a coward. Are you still a man? Knock, knock, knock. In the house." Although Su's parents were not sleepy, they could not stand such a knock on the door. They walked out of the bedroom and saw Su Yuanhang standing in the doorway, with a worried expression on his face. They said, "Yuanhang, what is going on? I have never seen Lingling like this before. If you ask me, Yuanhang, we might as well just give her the money. If this continues, the babies will wake up soon." Tang Kerson stood next to Su Yuanhang and explained to Su's parents, "Uncle and auntie, Yuanhang has already called the police. It doesn't matter if the babies wake up, we'll continue to coax them to sleep in a moment. Don't come out, I'll go out and wait." Su Yuanhang went into the room and called the police. You can only use the law to punish people like this. With that, he opened the door and saw Lin Lingling's hand in midair. Seeing that Su Yuanhang could not stand his own torture, she was full of delight and said, "Su Yuanhang, even if you pay 100,000 yuan this time, it won't solve the problem." Su Yuanhang knew that this kind of scoundrel was not afraid of provocation at all, but rather hoped that someone would beat her up. This gives him more reasons to seek his own interests. At this point, he used his ability to make prank props, and told her, "Come with me." Saying this, he left without looking back. Lin Lingling suddenly beamed from ear to ear. She didn't greet Su's parents, but instead, she continued to smile cheekily. She even rolled her eyes at Tang Kerson and then followed after Su Yuanhang like a puppy. Tang Kerson, however, didn't care at all. Compared to a scheming woman like Lin Lingling, Tang Kerson had encountered many more like her in the entertainment industry. She just needed to block her out. "Auntie and uncle, you go to bed first. When the police arrive, they can handle this matter." Tang Kerson reassured the two elderly people. "Hey, Kerson, I'm sorry to have caused you trouble," Su's mother said with a guilty conscience. Su's father also said, "Xiao Xian, there are just a lot of things going on in the village, and I'm sorry you had to see it." "Auntie and uncle, what are you talking about? This is none of your business." No one expected Su Yuanhang's classmate to suddenly show up and look for him. Tang Xian was able to let go of the matter, and comforted the two with a faint smile. Su's father and mother instantly felt that Tang Xian was a woman who understood the big picture, and that they had no regrets about marrying such a daughter-in-law. As for the other side, Su Yuanhang and Lin Lingling walked under the banyan tree, where there was a place to sit. After sitting down, Su Yuanhang crossed his arms. Lin Lingling took small steps, then stepped on her high heels, put her hands behind her back, and saw that Su Yuanhang's gaze was not on her. Her mind raced, and she pounced on him. It was like a hungry wolf pouncing on its prey, planning to molest Su Yuanhang. Chapter 90 Suspected of murder. Fortunately, Su Yuanhang had been prepared, so he did not give the other party the opportunity. He moved to the side, and Lin Lingling fell headfirst into the flower bed. Ah! A scream escaped her lips, but Su Yuanhang stood up without reaching out to help. When Lin Lingling got up, she looked a little disheveled, her hair messy and her appearance that of a female ghost. If she looked like that in the middle of the night, she was afraid she would scare a lot of people. Su Yuanhang, why didn't you pull me up? Lin Lingling began to complain. If it weren't for waiting for the police, Su Yuanhang would have turned around and left right now. He said coldly, pull you? Touching you makes me feel like I'm going to get poisoned. Lin Lingling was furious, stamping her feet in anger. Do you know how much these clothes cost? I don't care, you have to pay for them. Su Yuanhang didn't expect that this once mischievous and playful, but still innocent little girl, would have degenerated to such a state. The big dye vat of society has completely painted her life black, losing its original colorful appearance and becoming completely unrecognizable. Judging from your energetic appearance, you must have just smoked, right? Su Yuanhang judged from the other person's mental outlook. Lin Lingling's eyes darted away. I already said I didn't smoke. If you say it again, I'll sue you for defamation. Fine. Su Yuanhang also didn't bother to respond. From now on, let's keep our distance, and don't talk to me. She hadn't realized the seriousness of the situation yet, and while tidying her clothes, she said, Su Yuanhang, what do you mean? You called me out in the middle of the night and just sat there? Su Yuanhang didn't answer, but instead focused on his phone. Lin Lingling was unhappy. No, Su Yuanhang, where's the compensation you promised? I read in the news that you live in a billion-dollar mansion, drive a Bugatti Veyron, and also own an entertainment company. Lin Lingling went through Su Yuanhang's assets, and $1,000,000 must seem like a drop in the bucket to you, right? If you are willing to give it to me, then I will delete the video of you hitting me, and in the future we will leave each other alone and be even. Su Yuanhang still ignored her. This made Lin Lingling very unhappy. Su Yuanhang, just give me a straight answer, will you stop stalling? I have nothing to say to you. Su Yuanhang saw the flashing police lights in the distance and knew that the police had already arrived. He smiled faintly and said, I advise you to focus your energy on explaining to the police. What police? Lin Lingling was puzzled. I didn't call the police. I'm giving you a last chance. Su Yuanhang, however, said calmly, I did. What? Lin Lingling hadn't reacted yet. You called the police? Here. Su Yuanhang tilted his chin and looked at the police car that had already entered the village entrance, and told her, it's already here. At night, the police car did not turn on the siren, but flashed the emergency lights. Under Lin Lingling's shocked gaze, the police car was constantly growing larger in front of her eyes. Seeing the police, Lin Lingling subconsciously backed away, her eyes full of panic. Su Yuanhang guessed at once that Lin Lingling must have done something wrong in the past, and at the very least she was afraid that her identity as a drug addict would be exposed and she would be taken away for compulsory drug rehabilitation. By this point, it was too late for Lin Lingling to try to run away. When the police car arrived, Su Yuanhang also raised his hand to say hello. When the two police officers in the car stepped out, they saw Su Yuanhang and asked, Are you Mr. Su? Did you call the police? It was me. Su Yuanhang looked at Lin Lingling, who was bowing her head and not saying a word. Without the previous show of aggression, he explained, she disturbed the peace late at night, and our whole family couldn't sleep. The police officer then looked at Lin Lingling and said, Ma'am, why did you disturb the peace? Lin Lingling didn't dare to look up, and her whole body went rigid. We're asking you a question, so let's just solve this together. Su Yuanhang shouted after him. I didn't. Lin Lingling, however, shook her head desperately and got up. Su Yuanhang, I won't call the police, so you tell them to go away. At this point, the police officers also realized that Lin Lingling's behavior was a bit suspicious, so they became alert. Mr. Su, what's wrong with her? Su Yuanhang heard Lin Lingling's thoughts at this time, and couldn't help but narrow his eyes. She's probably a bit nervous. Su Yuanhang politely said to the police officers, I'm afraid of you police. The police officers, however, laughed, Madam, we are the police, you don't need to be afraid. Tell us what happened. The other officer asked. Lin Lingling didn't say a word, and in the end, Su Yuanhang had to explain. Comrade policeman, here's what happened. Su Yuanhang also told the whole story of what happened, including the fact that he slapped Tang Kersen because she had pulled her and said insulting things. Subsequently, he was threatened with video recording and blackmail by Lin Lingling. After hearing this, the police officers understood what had happened. Miss Lin, is that so? Is what Mr. Su said the truth? As soon as the words fell, Lin Lingling, as if her tail had been stepped on, immediately exploded, saying, "No, he's lying. I didn't blackmail him. He hit me first. I just want him to compensate me for my mental losses." What mental losses? $1 million? The police officers were exasperated and said, "Do you want to talk about this in private or at the station?" Before Su Yuanhang could say anything, Lin Lingling immediately responded, "We'll talk in private. I don't want compensation from him, I want to leave." As she turned to leave, Su Yuanhang grabbed her arm and said, "You can't go yet. Su Yuanhang, let go of me." Lin Lingling began to struggle, her emotions clearly fluctuating. The police officers could tell something was wrong. "Miss Lin, please calm down." "I'm calm, I just want to talk in private, I don't want to trouble you anymore, is that okay?" Lin Lingling said nervously. Su Yuanhang, however, bluntly said, "Comrade policeman, she's high." At this point, the police officers glanced at each other and then said very seriously, "Miss Lin, is what Mr. Su said true?" In fact, they could also see that Lin Lingling's expression was not right, and the state of an average drug addict is different from that of a normal person. In terms of behavior, there will be many problems such as a runny nose, dull eyes, and emaciated body. Another thing is being easily angered and having unstable emotions. The two police officers had also received professional training. Under the glare of the headlights, they could see that Lin Lingling's pupils were needle-like. This was also one of the characteristics of drug addicts. "No, he's lying, he's slandering me." Lin Lingling began to get irritable, and her eyes stared viciously at Su Yuanhang. "I'm not a drug addict, I'm not." But the matter was not over yet. Su Yuanhang added, "Comrade policeman, I also suspect that she killed someone." Chapter 91, The Advantages of Having Money. As soon as Su Yuanhang finished speaking, the two police officers and Lin Lingling were all taken aback. They even put their hands on their waists, where their sidearms were. As for Lin Lingling, she looked at Su Yuanhang in horror, not understanding why he had said such a thing. Subconsciously, Lin Lingling's hand also grasped her satchel, which contained a dagger. "Mr. Su, are you joking with us?" The police officers frowned and stared at Su Yuanhang and Lin Lingling. She was suspected of taking drugs, and the victim was her ex-boyfriend, Zhao Jiwen, who was not a local. Su Yuanhang, however, directly told the police officers what he had heard in their minds: they were all drug addicts, because during the process of taking drugs, they caused mental disorder and mistakenly killed each other. At this time, what he was describing was just like being there in person. The body was buried on a hill in a village along Wujiang Road. Su Yuanhang then told the detailed address. This was all because he had heard Lin Lingling's thoughts, and there was no way to hide it. After Su Yuanhang finished speaking, Lin Lingling trembled all over. At this time, she was stimulated, her brain was in disorder, and she directly took out a dagger from her bag and said maliciously to Su Yuanhang, "I want to kill you, you bastard, slandering me." Neither of the two police officers expected Lin Lingling to go berserk, armed with a dagger and intent on attacking them in front of their faces. Fortunately, Su Yuanhang had god-level martial arts skills, so he was able to easily dodge the sudden attack. Not only that, but Su Yuanhang was able to disarm the opponent with his bare hands when he attacked. In an instant, he pinched the other person's wrist and disarmed the dagger. This skillful move left the two police officers speechless. Then, with lightning speed, Su Yuanhang controlled her hand behind her back and completely subdued her. "Ah!" Lin Lingling screamed, while desperately struggling and shouting, "Let go of me, you bastard!" However, Su Yuanhang had her under control, and the more she struggled, the more pain she felt. It was only then that the police officers followed up and handcuffed Lin Lingling. "Get in the car." Two police officers said to the two men, "Mr. Su, please come back with us and make a statement." "No problem." Su Yuanhang never expected this farce to escalate to the point of murder, and he definitely cooperated by saying, "I will assist you in your investigation." Afterwards, the two of them got into the police car together, and then Su Yuanhang called Tang Kersen again. When the call connected, Tang Kichin's voice rang out, "Yuanhang, have the police arrived yet? Did she hit you again?" "Yes." Su Yuanhang explained, "But I have to go back to the police station with the police officers to help record a statement." "Ah?" Tang Kichin exclaimed in surprise, "Then I'll go with you." Su Yuanhang could hear the voices of the Manghua kids coming through. "Mummy, where's Daddy going? We want to go too." "Xin, I'll be back soon, don't worry, it's nothing." Su Yuanhang explained, "The babies are all awake, you go back to sleep first." "Okay, then, be careful by yourself." Tang Kersen also didn't force it. "If anything happens, remember to call me." Su Yuanhang could feel Tang Kersen's concern for him, and he laughed. "Oh yes, if Mom and Dad ask, just explain it to them." "Okay Yuanhang, I'll take care of the family, don't worry." Tang Kersen immediately replied. Hearing Tang Kuxian say family, Su Yuanhang couldn't help but feel a warm feeling in his heart. He smiled even more and said, Xin, you've worked hard. Don't be polite with me, this is what you're supposed to do," Tang Kuxian said softly. Before long, Su Yuanhang and Lin Lingling arrived at the police station. Lin Lingling was escorted in. On the way here, the police officers had already contacted the station to report the situation, and at this time, a large number of people began to get busy. A homicide is arguably the most serious criminal case, and everyone was on their toes. As for Su Yuanhang, he was taken to another reception room for routine questioning. "Mr. Su, is what you said earlier about Ms. Lin's homicide true?" The police officers took notes while waiting for Su Yuanhang to answer. He had already thought of an excuse long ago. "Yes, it's true." "Then how do you know?" The police officer continued, "Were you there?" "Miss Lin told me herself." Su Yuanhang knew that the police officer was not fishing for a response, so he said with an unchanged expression, "Just tonight, probably because she had taken drugs, her consciousness was a bit hazy, and she said it during an argument with me." The police officers looked at each other, and after understanding the situation, they asked about other aspects as a matter of routine. After a while, another police officer ran in and said, "The suspect is indeed suspected of taking drugs. We have already conducted a urine test on her and detected the drug p-methamphetamine." He looked at Su Yuanhang, indicating that his confession was true. "In addition, we have also interrogated Lin Lingling, and she admitted to manslaughter." The police officer paused for a moment and continued, "The place where the victim was buried is exactly the same as the clue provided by Mr. Su." At this time, the interrogation process of the police officers with Su Yuanhang came to an end. They got up and politely said to Su Yuanhang, "Mr. Su, thank you for your help, thank you for assisting us in solving a murder case. In fact, Lin Lingling has been fooling around in Ludao City for all these years. This murder case also falls under the jurisdiction of the police station in Ludao City, and the police will hand it over at that time." When Su Yuanhang was about to go back as he was fine, the director personally rushed over in the middle of the night. After seeing him, he immediately greeted him with a smile and said, "Hello, Mr. Su, I didn't expect you to come in person, I really didn't welcome you far." Looking at the other person's polite and courteous attitude, Su Yuanhang could not help but understand. Obviously, he must have received a notification from Director Su, and was disturbed by the murder case in the middle of the night by colleagues from the police station. After inquiring about Su Yuanhang's real identity, he hurried over from home without stopping. Su Yuanhang's hand was shaken by the other person, and he smiled politely and said, No, I'm just assisting the police in their investigation. The director needs not be so polite. I have heard from my subordinates that it is precisely because of you that we were able to capture the criminals." Li Suo's face was full of enthusiasm and said, "Mr. Su, on behalf of the entire police station and the victim's family, I would like to thank you. Mr. Su, why don't you come to my office and have a cup of tea and chat?" "No, it's getting late, I have to go back." Su Yuanhang, however, refused and said, "Let's do it some other time. If you have time, I will come and visit Director Li again." "That's fine." Director Li immediately ordered, "Captain Chen, you personally escort Mr. Su back." At this point, Su Yuanhang fully felt the radical change in attitude towards him from people of status and position, who he had previously been unable to access, after he had become rich. This is the advantage of being rich. Chapter 92. After arriving at his doorstep, Su Yuanhang got out of the car. Dressed in his pajamas, he didn't give off a casual impression, but instead commanded the captain's respect. After learning of Su Yuanhang's identity, everyone became respectful. This is how society works. If you have money and status, people will fawn all over you. The same goes for the head of the county. Compared to Su Yuanhang's status, he can only be considered a small person. "Captain Chen, please drop me off." Su Yuanhang looked at the man in the car window and laughed, "You go back quickly." "Okay." Captain Chen responded, and turned the car around to leave. Standing at the door, Su Yuanhang felt emotional. Without waiting to go in, his phone rang with a message. He picked it up and saw it was from Tang Kursen. "Yuan Hang, you're back?" Apparently, she heard the noise outside and replied, "I just got back, and I was thinking you would let me in." "I'll be right there." Tang Kursen replied immediately. Before long, the door opened and Tang Kursen stood in front of him in her pajamas. Looking at her, Su Yuanhang felt for a moment that Tang Kursen had married him and that the two of them had completely entered the rhythm of everyday life. "Is everyone asleep?" Su Yuanhang laughed as he stood in the doorway. "Everyone is asleep." Tang Kursen, however, was concerned and asked, "How did it go? Did Lin Lingling give you any trouble?" Su Yuanhang, however, first stepped into the house, then took Tang Kursen's hand, closed the door behind him, and led her upstairs. He even took a special look at the kids, found that they were sleeping soundly, and then returned to his bedroom. It was only then that he said, in the midst of Tang Kursen's anxiety, "Lin Lingling went in." "What do you mean?" Tang Kursen sat at the end of the bed, but she was a little surprised and said, "For what, blackmail?" Su Yuanhang poured a glass of water for himself and Tang Kursen, and after taking a drink, he said, "Murder." Tang Kursen held the glass of water and, after listening to Su Yuanhang's words, she was dumbfounded. "Murder? What the hell is going on?" If this happened to anyone else, they would find it unbelievable. He also told the whole story of what happened. Unexpectedly, this woman not only snorted drugs but also killed people. No wonder she seemed a bit strange before. Tang Kuxian had met a lot of people. The glamorous celebrities in the industry actually had a lot of hidden dealings. There were also quite a few celebrities suspected of drug use, as well as those who frequented prostitutes and had connections with the underworld. 1 year ago, an actor she had worked with had been exposed as a drug user, and his reputation had been ruined. At this point, I thought about Lin Lingling's mental state, which seemed to coincide with drug use. "We don't care about her." Su Yuanhang lay on the floor a little tired and said, "It's already 2 a.m., Xin, go to sleep, we can still get 5 or 6 hours of sleep." "Okay." Tang Kursen got into bed and looked at Su Yuanhang sleeping at her feet. After hesitating for a moment, she said, "Yuanhang, why don't you come up and sleep?" "No, I'll sleep on the floor and you sleep in the bed." But the next second, Su Yuanhang suddenly realized Tang Kursen's underlying meaning, and couldn't help but roll over and face Tang Kursen and say, "Okay." Instantly, Su Yuanhang jumped up from the ground with a leap of a carp, and then quickly lay down next to Tang Kursen. This was the first time the two had slept in the same bed, and Su Yuanhang could only feel his heart pounding. The beauty was close at hand, and he could reach out and embrace her, but he didn't dare do so. In the darkness. At this time, it was difficult for both parties to see each other, but the sounds between breaths were clearly audible. Tang Kursen's heart started pounding, her body tensing up a little, and then she turned her back to Su Yuanhang, resting her hand on her head to try to calm herself down. "Xixin, when you said you wanted to support me today, did you really mean it?" Su Yuanhang couldn't sleep, and knowing that Tang Kursen wasn't sleepy either, he started flirting. Of course, deep down, he still had a little expectation, taking advantage of the two being alone to promote their relationship. "I didn't." Tang Kursen's heart skipped a beat, and she immediately covered it up. "Yes, you told Lin Lingling." Su Yuanhang laughed, she was so angry that she had nothing to say. Tang Kursen didn't know how to explain it. Hearing Su Yuanhang being insulted like that, Tang Kursen felt inexplicably angry and almost blurted out what she was thinking. What she didn't know was that under the influence of the love potion, both of them would now infinitely magnify their inner feelings for each other, and no longer hide them as they once did. "What's that?" Su Yuanhang asked curiously when he saw Tang Kursen hesitate. "It's just that I don't want you to be embarrassed." Tang Kursen explained, "After all, everyone already thinks of me as your fiancé, so I can't let my fiancé be talked about like that by other people." Su Yuanhan's mouth curled up slightly, and he also leaned sideways, staring at the back of Tang Kursen and said, "In fact, you are my fiancé, even if it's not yet official. Since we've both come back to meet our parents, all that's left is to get married." Tang Kursen's heart was touched. In fact, she did not come back with Su Yuanhang because the children wanted to see their grandparents, but because Tang Kursen also wanted to visit the elderly. On the one hand, she wanted the children to recognize their roots, and on the other, she fully recognized Su Yuanhang and was willing to become a family with him. Therefore, in many small details, she got along with Su's parents as a daughter-in-law. Tang Kursen turned around, and their eyes met. She didn't look away, and said, "You're the girl my cousin was talking about, the one who pursued you when we were in school, right?" Although he didn't want to admit it, Su Yuanhang honestly replied, "That was all ancient history, let's not talk about it. Besides her, who else had a secret crush on you?" Tang Kersen still believed in Su Yuanhang's charm. In terms of appearance, he did have the potential to be the school hunk. No one else. Su Yuanhang hurriedly disclaimed, "I promise." "I don't believe you," Tang Kersen said, turning her back on Su Yuanhang again. At this point, he was completely at a loss as to what was going on in Tang Kersen's mind. There were some things he couldn't eavesdrop on, unless they were important matters, and most of them were troubles, crises, etc. In the silence, Su Yuanhang didn't go back to talking to Tang Kersen about anything. In the dead of night. Ding! The system's prompt sounded. "Congratulations, host, you have completed the hidden task, resolved the third party's crisis and also solved a criminal case along the way. The reward will be distributed." Ding! "Congratulations, host, you have received a 300 million cash reward." Ding! "Congratulations, host, you have received a clue item card." Ding! "Congratulations, host, you have received." Chapter 93, The Village Chief Comes to Cause Trouble. Ding! "Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Divine Healer skill." This last reward came as a surprise to Su Yuanhang. He didn't expect it to be the Divine Healer skill, which would allow him to treat his parents. More or less, as people age, their bodily functions decline, and various illnesses will insidiously lurk within the body. Originally, Su Yuanhang had thought about taking them to the doctor after the tea was sold, but now there was no need. At home, he could personally treat his father's injured back, and his mother had also had various ailments over the years. The inherited skills of the divine doctor included both Chinese and Western medicine, and Su Yuanhang now had in his head the equivalent of hundreds of years of medical skills. He was no worse than Hua Tua or BNK. The next day, Su Yuanhang and Tang Kersen did not have much physical contact. He slept very soundly, and when he opened his eyes, Tang Kersen was no longer in bed. However, the sound of washing came from the bathroom outside. Looking at the time, it was a little after 7 o'clock in the morning. Su Yuanhang did not linger in bed either, and very briskly got up and went to the balcony. The weather was nice at the moment, and the sun had come out early, giving an incomparable feeling of warmth and comfort when it shone on the body. The cloudless sky even healed the mood. He glanced at his phone and saw that his cousin had sent him a few messages. "Cousin, the workers and I will go up the mountain to pick tea leaves first. Call me when you wake up, and I'll show you around our tea garden. Cousin, when does the live broadcast start? I'll speed up the process and pick all the tea leaves. Oh yes, it's best to set the delivery date to 15 days. After all, we're picking the tea leaves fresh, and they need to be processed into semi-finished products before they can be shipped to customers." Su Yuanhang had also thought of this. In the case of freshly picked tea, it would definitely take 7 to 15 days to ship in time to ensure that every guest could brew tea immediately after receiving it. After thinking for a moment, he called his cousin. After ringing a few times, he was finally answered, and then came his cousin's voice, "Hey, cousin, you finally got up." Su Yuanhang could hear all kinds of noisy sounds coming from the field, and he was sure that a group of people were picking tea and chatting, making a lot of noise. He laughed and said, "Cousin, the live broadcast will be at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. By then, you can count the quantity of each type of tea, and we can set it up in the background. It can't be more, just to avoid running out of stock if customers place too many orders." "I know. My cousin has been growing tea for many years and has experience in this area. If we categorize it according to half a caddy and 1 caddy, I estimate that there will be 20,000 to 30,000 servings of tea." "Okay." Su Yuanhang laughed and said, "I'll go up the mountain to find you after I finish breakfast with Kersen." "Okay, I'll be busy then." Cousin added, "Oh yes, my aunt and uncle have also come to help." Su Yuanhang knew without thinking that they were definitely not at home. Life in the village is all about getting up early and working hard, especially for farmers like them. In the past, they also often left early in the morning and returned late at night. So Su Yuanhang laughed and said, "Cousin, have you had breakfast yet?" Cousin smiled and said, "I got up a little after 3 and have been busy ever since. I haven't even had a sip of water yet. I'll be there in a bit, waiting for your sister-in-law to bring my meal." Speaking of his cousin's wife, Su Yuanhang felt that his cousin had picked a real handful. He had met her a couple of times before, and she was a gluttonous, lazy person who spent all day playing on her phone at home, living a life of having everything handed to her. That was fine. What was worse was that she was a spendthrift. In the 3 or 4 years since they got married, she had never earned a single penny, and had kept sending money back to her family. Her cousin had been putting up with it all this time. As an outsider, Su Yuanhang also found it inappropriate to meddle in their relationship. "Remember to eat and don't get tired," Su Yuanhang said with concern. "Don't worry, I'll be busy today, and I'll even find time to drink some water." My cousin added, "Cousin, I'll be busy first, come find me after you go up the mountain." "No problem." After hanging up the phone, Tang Kersen also walked in. Seeing that Su Yuanhang had already woken up, she smiled knowingly and said, "Yuanhang, you're awake?" Su Yuanhang looked at Tang Kersen's fresh and refined appearance and grinned, "Babies, are they awake yet?" "Not yet. I want you all to sleep a little longer," Tang Kersen said with a faint smile. Su Yuanhang knew that the little ones had been on the road for a long day and had been woken up by the incident with Lin Lingling, so he felt a little bad for them and said, "Let them sleep a little longer then. I'll go wash up first, and then I'll go downstairs in a bit to check on things. I guess my parents should have breakfast ready by now." Tang Kersen, however, explained, "Yuanhang, your aunt and uncle have already gone up the mountain early in the morning. They have even prepared breakfast for us on the table, waiting for us to wake up and eat it." "Okay, I'll wash up quickly, and then wake up the kids to wash up." Su Yuanhang knew that he would be busy today, so he smiled at Tang Kersen and said, "After breakfast, I'll take you for a stroll up the mountain. Have you seen a tea garden before?" Tang Kersen shook her head and laughed. "No, the tea garden wasn't involved in the plot of the movie, so I've only seen it on TV, and I'm still a bit yearning for it." "That's good, I'll take you on a nice tour this time, and you can also get to know the tea garden better," Su Yuanhang said, and then walked into the bathroom. He quickly washed up, and then rinsed his hair. When he came out, he saw that Tang Kersen had already tidied up the room. She wasn't wearing any makeup, but it didn't affect her appearance. Tang Kersen is naturally beautiful, and she has a good sense of style. After the two of them looked at each other, Su Yuanhang laughed and said, "You've changed your clothes already, so I'll go downstairs and heat up some food. In a while, you can wake up the kids and come downstairs to eat." "Okay." Tang Kersen knew that Su Yuanhang was trying his best to let the kids sleep a little longer. After Su Yuanhang went downstairs, he saw a plate of dishes covered with a lid on the dining table in the living room. When he opened them, he saw that they were all homegrown vegetables and side dishes. At that moment, the phone rang, and it was his mother calling. After answering, she said carefully, "Son, are you awake?" "Yes." Su Yuanhang smiled and said, "Mom, have you and Dad had breakfast yet?" "Of course we have." Su Yuanhang's mother reminded him, "Son, there's congee in the pot and fresh vegetables on the table. When Xiangxin and the baby wake up, let them eat. Your father and I are not expected to be back until noon. We are picking tea leaves in the mountains and will probably be busy until evening. You should cook lunch yourself." Su Yuanhang replied, "Got it. Don't worry about lunch, I'll take care of it." After the call, Su Yuanhang reheated the food. About half an hour later, the children had finished washing up and changed into clothes that were more casual, sportswear that looked lively and cute. The shoes they were wearing were also small sports shoes, as if they were specially prepared for climbing mountains. After everyone had sat down at the table, Su Yuanhang said to Tang Kersen, "Mom and Dad won't be back for lunch, so I'm going to find a restaurant and order some food to be delivered to everyone." "Good," Tang Kersen nodded, "we'll also go up the mountain to help in a while. I'll call my cousin to ask about the number of people first." Su Yuanhang said, preparing to make the call, but the screen of his phone lit up on its own, and his cousin called again. After Su Yuanhang answered, he heard his cousin panting and saying urgently, "Yuanhang, something's happened." He could tell something was wrong, and there were also noisy sounds nearby, not like idle chatter, more like an argument. "What's wrong, cousin?" "The village chief is leading people here to cause trouble," his cousin said urgently. Chapter 94 You're looking for trouble. Su Yuanhan's expression turned cold. He didn't expect that before he could cause trouble for the other party, the village chief had taken the initiative to come looking for him. "Cousin, don't worry, I'll go up the mountain to check the situation." With that, he hung up the phone. Tang Kersen could tell from Su Yuanhan's expression that something was wrong. After he hung up the phone, she asked, "Yuanhang, is something wrong?" "The village chief is stirring up trouble," Su Yuanhang explained, and then added, "Xinxin, just wait for me at home. I'm going to the mountains." "Okay, don't worry, take it easy," Tang Kersen called out after him. He would. Su Yuanhang ran out without looking back. Later, people greeted him along the way, but he didn't have time to respond. Su Yuanhang still knew the tea garden his parents had contracted. When they arrived, Su Yuanhang saw the village chief leading a group of villagers destroying the tea leaves that had been so carefully picked. The workers were too scared to get involved and hid themselves. Su Yuanhang's cousin was being pushed and yelled at by the village chief's son. "Who do you think you are? Do you know that I am the one who makes the decisions in this village? You are not allowed to pick the tea leaves." My cousin laughed angrily. "This is our contracted tea garden, why can't we pick it? I heard that Su Yuanhang, that little punk, is back. How about it, did he find a way to sell your tea?" The arrogant son of the village chief said, "I'll tell you, Zhengzhili, even if you pick all the tea, you can't leave the village, believe it or not?" My cousin still knew that the village chief had been ruling the village with an iron fist for many years, and these people were known to do what they said. The villagers all obeyed his orders. Seeing this, his sister-in-law, who had come to deliver food, grabbed his arm and shouted at him, "I told you to be smart, but you just don't get it. Apologize to the people now." "Apologize to them? No way," said his cousin, defiantly. "Fine, if you won't apologize, then get someone to destroy this tea plantation. I want to see what you can do about it." With that, he took a drag on his cigarette and waved his hand, telling his men to get to work. These people were not from the village, but were thugs hired by the village chief's son to do his dirty work. Su's parents saw the thugs hacking away at the tea trees with sticks and machetes, and Su's mother rushed forward, crying out, "Stop!" Just as Su's mother grabbed the arm of one of the thugs to stop him, she was flung away. Su Yuanhang arrived just in time to see this scene. Seeing that Su's mother was about to fall, he immediately rushed over and embraced her. Su's father hurried over to help, his face full of worry. "My dear, are you okay? Son, why are you here? Go back quickly." Su's mother was worried that the chaotic scene in front of her would make Su Yuanhang angry, and that he would then be afraid to care about his own safety and fight with the village chief's son. She urged Su Yuanhang. However, Su Yuanhang said coldly, "Dad, take care of Mom, I'll take care of the rest." After he finished speaking, his cousin had already started fighting with the men called by the village chief's son. "I'll fight you to the death." Seeing the sticks, clubs and knives being swung around, and the tea trees that had been planted with so much effort being chopped to pieces, his cousin also lost his temper. He struggled with one thug, but more helpers came over and started kicking and punching my cousin. Su Yuanhang took a quick step forward and kicked the thug who was beating up my cousin. After knocking the opponent into the tea trees, Su Yuanhang grabbed another thug and punched him in the stomach. The opponent grimaced in pain, but Su Yuanhang flung him directly into the air. The remaining thug, who was riding on his cousin's back and beating him up, was already fighting with red eyes. He didn't realize that Su Yuanhang had come to the rescue, and was still desperately swinging his fists to beat his cousin. He was directly kicked in the face by Su Yuanhang and rolled down the terraced fields. At this time, his cousin was already bruised and swollen. After seeing Su Yuanhang come to the rescue, all he could see in his eyes was anger. "Cousin, don't interfere, today it's either him or me." He said this and got up from the ground, ready to take on the village chief's son. Su Yuanhang pulled the other party back, then looked at the village chief's son. He had never liked this punk. Usually, relying on his status as the village chief's son, he had been bullying people in the village. In the past, Su Yuanhang had been unable to do anything about it and had to swallow his anger, but now it was a completely different story. "Cousin, you rest, I'll handle this," Su Yuanhang said, then looked at the village chief's son. The son of the village chief was not intimidated at all, but instead sneered, "Yo, Su Yuanhang, I can't tell that you've got some skills after not seeing each other for a few years." "Same to you." Su Yuanhang, however, patted the dust on his body and said, "But Chao Jiwei, I advise you to apologize to my cousin and my parents." Chao Jiwei was amused and laughed out loud. "Ha, Su Yuanhang, have you lost your mind, asking me to apologize? On what grounds? Just because you destroyed my family's tea plants." Su Yuanhang said with righteous indignation, "Oh yes, and you have to compensate for the damage today." "Compensation?" Chao Jiwei laughed. "Did you all hear that? He wants me to compensate, ha." The other thugs also laughed, thinking that Su Yuanhang's words were very funny. The villagers on the side did not dare to persuade. After all, everyone knows Chao Jiwei's temper. Who dares to help the Su family, that is to oppose her, and there will definitely be no good fruit to eat. Su's parents were worried that something would happen to Su Yuanhang and hurriedly said, "Son, we'll handle this, you go home quickly." Su's sister-in-law, however, complained to her cousin, "Look at you, if you had just paid the village chief a protection fee earlier, you wouldn't have ended up like this now. would you? I spit on you and your protection fee, I might as well give it to a beggar. Her cousin spat out blood and water. Su Yuanhang, however, protected his parents behind him and then said to Chao Jiwei, since there is no compensation or apology, this matter is not over today. I'm not done with you yet. Chao Jiwei smiled and said, I heard that you have hooked up with a big star outside, right? After I get you, I'll see how good your celebrity wife looks. You're looking for death. Su Yuanhang saw a hint of mockery in the other person's eyes, his eyes cold, and he directly let go of Su Yuanyang's hand, then took a few large strides towards Chao Jiwei. The other person had not yet realized the seriousness of the situation. He just stood there staring at Su Yuanhang. He thought that Su Yuanhang would not dare to do anything to him. But the next moment, Su Yuanhang's long legs lifted directly, and then he gave him a hard kick in the abdomen. Ah! The next second, Chao Jiwei's screams resounded through the terraced fields. His body then kept rolling down the terraced fields. Chapter 95 The inspection team arrives. Tang Kersen could only wait at home, unable to help in any way, and she was still a little anxious. Baby, mommy has to go find daddy for a bit, can you guys wait for us at home? Tang Kersen said, grasping the hands of the two cute kids. The children also answered very obediently, okay, mom, you go ahead, we will definitely wait for you to come back. Mom, dad left in a hurry and forgot his phone. Xiaobao didn't know where he found Su Yuanhang's phone, and handed it to Tang Kersen at this time. She patted Xiaobao's head and smiled, my dear, you were so good, I will be back soon. Tang Kersen said, and then prepared to go up the mountain. Suddenly, a group of people were walking towards Su Yuanhang's house. Just by looking at their attire, Tang Kuxian knew that they were no ordinary people. At this moment, the people came striding towards Tang Kuxian, causing her to stop in her tracks. When they got closer, the person was wearing an executive jacket and greeted Tang Kuxian enthusiastically, hello, Miss Tang. Tang Kuxian was still a little taken aback, but she immediately nodded and smiled, hello, may I ask if you are Director Su? Haha, Miss Tang, it seems that President Su has mentioned me to you. Director Su laughed heartily and said, I don't know where President Su is right now, and his phone is not answering, so I came without an invitation. After hearing the other person's introduction, Tang Kersen couldn't help but glance at Su Yuanhang's phone. Indeed, there were 2 missed calls. While politely explaining, she said, President Su left his phone at home, and he is currently in the tea garden. At this time, the village chief on the side had an ominous feeling in his heart, and he followed up by saying, Director Su, you have traveled a long way here, so why don't I immediately arrange for you to go and rest, and then taste the most distinctive tea in our village, while waiting for Mr. Su to return? Director Su responded indifferently to the village chief, no need. Since Mr. Su is already at the tea garden, I naturally want to go and take a look at the beautiful scenery of the tea garden in Tongking village as well. I wonder if Miss Tang can show us the way. Tang Kersen couldn't help but think of what Su Yuanhang had said before he left, that the village chief was deliberately causing trouble. Her face couldn't help but show a trace of excitement as she said, Director Su, this way please. Ah, Miss Tang, please. Director Su and the group behind him, led by Tang Kersen, left directly. The village chief, however, wanted to refuse politely and wanted to rush home. After all, he noticed that Director Su's purpose for coming this time was not simple. Especially with the disciplinary inspection team around, it looked like they were here to investigate him or the village cadres. Well, Director Su, I'll host a welcome dinner for you in the village and set a table with good wine and food waiting for you when you get back. The village chief began to make excuses. But how could Director Su not see through his thoughts, and he responded directly with a cold stare, Village Chief Chao, forget about the banquet. You are the head of the village, shouldn't you take us on a tour of the village and the tea garden? Director Su gave the order, and he dared not disobey. He immediately agreed with a stiff upper lip, yes, it was his subordinate's lack of consideration, and he would take Director Su and everyone to visit the tea garden. At the same time, he was secretly gesturing to his men, wanting someone to go and notify his son, who was still causing trouble in the tea garden, to avoid being seen by Director Su. Afterwards, the village chief formally took Director Su to the tea garden. However, he deliberately slowed down his pace, introducing the various surrounding landscapes and the development history of the village. Director Su and the others were in no hurry, nodding as they listened to his description of the surrounding scenery and the village's history. Tang Kersen finally could not hold back any longer and said to Director Su, I'm sorry to interrupt your conversation. Miss Tang, what is it? Just say what you have to say. You don't need to be polite, Director Su said with a polite smile. The village chief was trying to stop him, but didn't know how to say it. Tang Kurson looked at the village chief's suspicious eyes and said without any hesitation, "Director Su, President Su went up the mountain not long ago. I heard that someone was causing trouble at the tea garden and he went to deal with it." "What, trouble?" Director Su looked at the village chief and said, "Village Chief Chow, why didn't you say something sooner about trouble in the mountains?" The village chief gave Tang Kurson a vicious look and immediately explained, "Director Su, I think it's just some villagers having a conflict for some reason. This is a common thing. I didn't even get a notification." "You're lying." Tang Kurson couldn't hold back any longer and directly exposed the hypocrisy of the village chief. "Director Su, Mr. Su received a call from his cousin saying that the village chief had sent someone to their tea garden to cause trouble. Although I don't know the details, it must be because he doesn't want Mr. Su and the others to be able to safely pick tea leaves and sell them." Director Su heard a debriefing from Su Yuanhang last night about the village chief's lawless behavior. After a careful investigation, he did discover some clues. The reason for the arrival of the disciplinary inspection team this time was to launch a surprise attack. At this moment, what Tang Kurson said made Director Su feel a chill in his heart. He never expected that this Chow Duji would dare to play tricks in front of him. He suddenly snorted and said, "Village chief, why don't you lead the way quickly?" The village chief was filled with remorse at this moment, but due to Director Su's status, he dared not act rashly. While busily wiping the sweat stains on his forehead, he strode towards the tea garden. The whole journey took about 10 minutes. When the group reached the top of the mountain, they could vaguely see a group of people arguing on the hillside of the tea garden. Seeing the village chief here, he didn't expect that after so long, his son still hadn't settled things. If Director Su came to the scene in person, what would happen? Without thinking, the village chief plucked up his courage and shouted, "Hey, everyone, the higher-ups have sent Director Su to our village for an inspection. What are you all doing gathered here? Scatter quickly." With this shout, the villagers halfway up the mountain all heard it. Seeing the village chief leading people, they immediately dispersed as if they had been frightened. Chao Jiwei's gang naturally also heard their father's shout, which obviously reminded them. They immediately glanced at the subordinates around them and waved their hands, saying, "Retreat." Tang Kurson, however, also shouted after them, "Yuanhang, we're bringing Director Su to the tea garden." Su Yuanhang, who was fighting Chao Jiwei and the others, heard Tang Kurson's shouts and the group of people wearing executive jackets around her, and immediately understood. Seeing that Chao Jiwei and the others wanted to run, Su Yuanhang could not let them go. "Stop where you are." For a moment, Su Yuanhang was like a wolf entering a flock of sheep, and began to chase Chao Jiwei and the others in the tea garden terraces. This scene was incredibly shocking to Director Su. "Village chief, who told you to shout just now?" Director Su could not help but understand Chao Diji's petty thoughts, and could not help but shout, "Are you trying to hide something?" Ha! Chapter 96, The Powerful Father. Before Tang Kurson and Director Su arrived, Su Yuanhang and Chao Jiwei had already clashed. Long ago, Su Yuanhang had already taken Chao Jiwei for granted. He bullied people in the village and completely ignored everyone. This time, he had the perfect opportunity to teach him a good lesson. Of course, Chao Jiwei also didn't like Su Yuanhang, the pretty boy, and wanted to disfigure his face. So, he took out a dagger from his pocket and brandished it in front of Su Yuanhang. Su's parents were shocked when they saw this. "Chao Jiwei, put the knife down. You bastard, if you just hurt my son, I'll fight you. Call the police, wife, help me call the police." My cousin was watching with a burning heart. At this time, he was in excruciating pain, and he didn't know where his phone was during the beating, so he shouted at his wife. But his wife slapped him hard and said, "Up to now you are still thinking about others. Do you know that the person who was beaten the most seriously is you? Stay out of this, I won't call the police, and you're coming home with me right now. Just think, how much money you're going to spend on all these injuries. It's unbelievable." Cousin looked on as Chao Jiwei and Su Yuanhang started to fight, and as Chao Jiwei brandished a dagger it looked like he was really going to kill him. He got up with difficulty, saying, "Money, money, money, all you care about is money, can't you see your cousin is in danger?" I said, "What are you crazy? It's none of your business if he's in danger. Once the village chief finds out, how can we stay in the village in the future?" My cousin was really angry and said, "Get out." The woman's eyes widened, and suddenly tears welled up in them. "You're yelling at me. Get out of here." My cousin was also fed up with his wife's selfishness, and said directly, "In the past, I spoiled you too much, didn't I?" The woman couldn't bear to be criticized in front of her cousin, so she left in a huff. Fine, I'll leave, I promise you won't see me again, and no matter how much money you spend, you won't be able to make me happy. After the woman left, the cousin ignored her and limped over to Su Yuanhang. At this time, not only was Chao Jiwei attacking Su Yuanhang, but he was also accompanied by 7 or 8 thugs, all of whom surrounded Su Yuanhang. Su Yuanhang was forced to retreat again and again, and the situation was critical. Naturally, his cousin could not let Su Yuanhang get hurt. After all, it was all because of him. He picked up a thicker stick from the ground and was about to rush forward to help Su Yuanhang when he was stopped by the villagers. I said, "You silly boy, what are you doing?" "I want to help my cousin," said his cousin anxiously. But when the words fell, they heard screams. Looking at Su Yuanhang again, he was rolling around in the tea garden like a loach, and no one could even touch a hair on his head. Not only that, with his nimble skills, Su Yuanhang also defeated them one by one. Finally, he appeared out of nowhere and came up behind Chao Jiwei, then clapped his hands around the other person's arms, and with everyone dumbfounded, he just did a back body drop. Su Yuanhang's arms exploded with amazing strength, and he directly picked up the 160-70 kilograms Chao Jiwei and threw him over his shoulders, just like sumo wrestling, and with amazing waist strength, he threw the opponent backwards. Bang! After throwing Chao Jiwei into the tea tree, the opponent's body was also cut by the branches, and a miserable scream followed. Looking at the other thugs, they were also badly beaten, but they still managed to get up and ran over to Chao Jiwei, struggling to pull him out of the tea tree. At this point, the group of people were covered in dust and dirt, but Su Yuanhang was completely unharmed. His cousin, his parents, and a group of onlookers from the village were all dumbfounded. Su Yuanhang had almost single-handedly defeated 10 opponents, and without any injuries, he had beaten them all. His cousin dropped his wooden stick and opened his mouth, saying, "You're really something." Su's parents, on the other hand, were busy examining Su Yuanhang's body, looking worried. "Son, are you okay? Let mommy take a good look." Su Yuanhang knew that he had worried his parents, and couldn't help but smile slightly, saying, "Mom and Dad, I'm fine." After that, he looked at Chao Jiwei and the others. They had all suffered only minor injuries. This is still due to Su Yuanhang's mercy. At this time, after they pulled Chao Jiwei up, they heard the voice of the village chief in the distance. Upon hearing the village chief hinting at them, Chao Jiwei saw that the higher authorities had come down to inspect, and regardless of the pain in his body, he began to desperately flee. Then, there was Tang Kursen's scream, and she also gave Su Yuanhang a reminder. So, seeing Chao Jiwei and the others scattering, how could he just let the other party leave? With his amazing speed and agile movements, Su Yuanhang's first target was Chao Jiwei. Everyone can run, but not him. In 2 or 3 steps, Su Yuanhang grabbed the other person's back, and then, as Chao Jiwei resisted, he directly extended his long legs and swept them past, knocking the other person to the ground. Then, he used both hands to hold the other person, completely subduing him. Tang Kursen, on the other hand, followed Director Su as he quickly walked over to Su Yuanhang's side. When they got closer, they could see the mess all over the place, with many tea plants destroyed. Director Su looked at it and his face turned extremely ugly. The village chief noticed the looks on Director Su's face and the others, and he felt even more miserable. Creating such a scene in front of the inspection team had a very bad impact, and as the village chief, he would definitely have to take responsibility. He had already realized the seriousness of the situation and was thinking of how to explain it to Director Su so that he could avoid this crisis. "Director Su, please let me explain. This is not how things usually are in the tea garden." He decided to preempt the situation and avoid being held responsible, so he continued, "Obviously there's been a misunderstanding." But Director Su didn't even bother to look at him, but walked straight towards Su Yuanhang, extending his hand as he said, "Mr. Su, it's good to see you." Su Yuanhang pushed Chao Jiwei away and then laughed, "Director Su, it's good that you're here." "Mr. Su, what's going on?" Director Su asked politely. The village chief, who had been watching from the side, finally understood completely. Director Su's visit today was obviously related to Su Yuanhang. Unavoidably, his heart pounded. Without waiting for Su Yuanhang to explain, the village chief immediately came forward, shook Su Yuanhang's hand, and then smiled kindly, "Su nephew, this is all a misunderstanding. You should quickly explain to Director Su that you and Jiwei were just joking around." Chapter 97. The villagers were united in their resolve to bring down the local tyrant. Seeing Chao Diji pleading with him so politely for the first time, Su Yuanhang smiled, "Village chief, we're not playing around. It was your son who provoked me and destroyed all of my tea garden. Oh yes, he also said that if we didn't pay the protection fee, he wouldn't let our family get by, and we wouldn't be able to sell the tea. As soon as he said this, Chao Deji's face changed. Chao Jiwei, who had been dragged back and was lying on the ground pretending to be dead, was even more directly angry and jumped up. You are slandering. Whether I am slandering or not, the villagers here can all be witnesses. Su Yuanhang glanced at the crowd and said, everyone, you all know the whole story best. If I, Su Yuanhang, have even half a lie, may I be struck by lightning. But the villagers were all submissive, their eyes avoiding contact, as if the authority of the village chief made them afraid to act rashly. Director Su, who had been silent all along, was able to rise to his high position because he had long since mastered the art of reading people's expressions. Seeing that the villagers all looked at Chao Deji with fear in their eyes, he went straight up to him and said, my fellow villagers, I am Director Su from Ludao. I have come here today to inspect the work, so you can speak freely, comrades. If you have any demands, just say them. I will definitely do justice for you all. The assistant then added, just tell Director Su the truth about what happened just now. If there is any cover-up or lying, once Director Su has investigated it, everyone will be held accountable together. The villagers' faces changed. One of the men, who got along well with the Su family and cousin, stood up and said, Director Su, let me speak. Unavoidably, everyone looked at this brave man. Ernia was tried to be stopped by someone, but he just waved his sleeve and said, Auntie, Director Su has come to our village in person to uphold justice. If we don't speak up now, when will we speak up? Chao Jiwei saw that this bastard was going to betray him, so he directly warned him in secret, Ernia, don't say anything nonsense, be careful what you say. The implication was full of threats, but Su Yuanhang slapped the other guy in the face and said, shut up. You, Su Yuanhang, in front of Director Su, are you rebelling against the heavens? Chao Deji immediately found an excuse to accuse Su Yuanhang, saying, Director Su, you can see for yourself that this guy has no respect for his elders or the law. He doesn't even respect you. How can you believe what he says? Chao Deji, you and your son have been bullying people in the village for years. Not only have you embezzled funds allocated by your superiors, but you have also abused your power to allocate land for yourselves. Every year, you make the villagers pay you protection money, and the more they pay, the better they are treated. Ernio, however, pointed directly at Chao Deji and complained to Director Su, Director Su, please do something for us. Director Su, what Ernio said is true. Another woman also stood up and accused, the whole family of the village chief is no good. My daughter was defiled by this animal. The two made their words very clear. Director Su's face fell, and he looked at Chao Deji and his son and said, is what they said true? With a thud, the village chief fell to his knees directly, while pulling the dumbstruck Chao Jiwei to his knees. He then began to sob and complain, Director Su, they are wrongfully accusing me. I, Chao, have always been diligent and hardworking in Ziking village. I never thought they would be provoked into turning on each other by Su Yuanhang. Please be discerning. Director Su, he's putting on an act. At this point, the villagers could see that Director Su was really going to take charge for Ziking village. Immediately, others followed suit and came forward, saying, just now, his son, Chao Jiwei, called a bunch of thugs over to bully the Su family and mess up the tea fields. If it wasn't for Su Yuanhang arriving in time, his cousin would have been beaten to death in the tea fields. I can testify that the village chief's family has been oppressing us villagers for years, leaving us villagers of Ziking village in dire straits. Please do us justice. I don't know if it was because they heard that Director Su had come in person, but a crazy woman ran up from below, screaming like a madwoman, oh, great lord in the blue sky, please save our family. This Chao Deji is not even human. He raped me, crippled my husband, and my daughter was defiled by his son. This crazy woman, her hair disheveled and her clothes in disarray, knelt beside Director Su, her dirty hands grasping the hem of his trousers. But Director Su did not look disgusted in the least, and instead, with a cold face, helped her to her feet. Don't worry, sister, tell me slowly what injustice you have suffered, Director Su said softly. At this moment, everyone saw it all with their own eyes and thought that Director Su was a good official. This woman is the one who once spent 200,000 yuan to sue the village chief and his family, but she got nothing in return. Instead, her husband had both legs broken. Because of this, no one has dared to sue since then. This has enabled the Chao Deji family to rule the village with an iron fist, and they have intensified their efforts to secretly extort money and have also defiled many women in the village. Whether they are widows, married or just starting high school, as long as they are attractive, they will not let them go. It can be said that Chao Deji was the absolute emperor of this tiny village. Chao Deji's face was ashen at this point. Seeing that Director Su was not looking at him kindly, he knelt on the ground and could not cry anymore. Su Yuanhang also did not deliberately take advantage of his status to order Director Su to bring the village chief to justice. Since the other party had promised to thoroughly investigate the village chief's family, Su Yuanhang would also remain silent and see how he handled the matter. As the atmosphere grew tense, there was another shout from the foot of the mountain. Director Su! Everyone looked back, and a government employee quickly ran up. However, on the way, he slipped and fell, but quickly got up again, somewhat unsteadily, and came to Director Su's side, panting, "Director, we have a lead. Take a breath and explain properly." Director Su, who was wearing glasses, had a gleam in his eyes at the moment and said, "What lead?" Su Yuanhang looked at the other person's attire and the badge pinned to his chest, and realized that he was a member of the disciplinary inspection team. He glanced at Chao Deji and the others and said the same thing. "Director Su, as you instructed, we thoroughly investigated Chao Deji's family's account books, as well as the inflows and outflows of Xiking village over the years, land expropriation and land deed use, etc., and discovered a large amount of evidence of forgery." Upon hearing this, Chao Deji and his son were shocked, and their faces turned ashen.